Brian McClure, and his son, 16-year-old Camden, are suing Camden's mother, Gay McClure, for the return of child support, the cost of car parts, and for stealing money from a savings account.
Yeah, this is case number 292 on the calendar in the matter of McClure versus McClure. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Why don't you sit down, young man? Mr. McClure, this is your former wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That you had together.
Correct.
You have one child together?
Yes, only one.
And how long are you divorced, Mr. McClure?
Approximately a year and a half.
When you were divorced, where did your son live?
Initially lived with my wife.
For how long?
Approximately 2 years.
Okay, and then came to live with you?
Yes, as of the end of July of this year.
Both you and your son are plaintiffs in this case. I'm going to hear from you first, and then your son and I are going to have a discussion. Your son came to you in July. You were under a court order for support. The support order was for how much a month?
$677 a month.
Your suit claims that that money was taken out of your salary for the month that your son was with you, and so therefore you've overpaid child support.
Correct, until we could get the paperwork in on the modified divorce order.
Mrs. McClure, you do not deny the fact that he overpaid the $677 for that month.
No, ma'am.
So what's the issue? Why don't you return it?
He had continually told me that I was to spend every single dime of child support on Camden.
That's not true.
Shh. She's giving me her reason.
I just did. I knew that it was an overpayment.
Well, if you knew it was an overpayment, you did the wrong thing.
But
and if you did the wrong thing, you have to pay him.
I also tried to pay him back.
No, according to you, tried to pay him back $10 a week. Or $20 a week. And that's unacceptable, because it would be unacceptable, Ms. McClure, if you were the recipient of child support in the amount of $600 and change a month, and he decided he's not going to pay you the $600 a month. He's going to give it to you in dribs and drabs of $20 a month, and he'll catch up when he wants to catch up. That would be unacceptable to you. It's unacceptable to him, because he had the responsibility of supporting the child during that month, and you have the responsibility of paying him back the money. You should have sent it back as soon as you got it. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
So your claim is for $677?
$624 and change.
$624. Just saved yourself $50, Mrs. McClure. That's what you're entitled to, and that's what you're going to get. Understood?
Yes.
Now you can stand up. What's your first name?
Camden.
Why did you go and live with your father, Camden?
The living experience with my mother wasn't a very likely.
How old are you?
16.
So you lived with your mother for 16 years. You mean all of a sudden it became an unpleasant experience?
Yes.
In what regard, sir?
I wanted to spend more time with my father, so I was wanting to go live with him.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Then when I informed her of it, progressively our relationship just got worse.
Well, that's unfortunate. But your desire to go to live with your father, according to you, was just because you wanted to spend more time with your father. Is that right?
Yes.
You have a problem with that, Mrs. McClure?
Only for the fact that several months before that, we had discussed him going to live with Brian, and he said that he did not want to under any circumstances, and he actually wanted me to promise to him that if Brian sued for custody, that I would not go along with it, I would go to court.
Changed his mind. Listen to me. Let's say that happened. He changed his mind, and that's what kids do when they're 16 years old. So when they're 16 years old, what you're supposed to do is say, listen, you want to go live with your father? Free. I'm free, right? I don't have to worry about where he is. I don't have to worry about him coming home. I don't have to clean up after his mess in the bathroom. You don't have to fight with him over cutting his hair. You don't have to do anything. He's with his father. It's his father's grief. I mean, I understand this. I was in family court for a lot of years. You get hurt. You get a little wounded. It's a natural phenomenon that you get a little wounded. But, you know, what I'm telling you is, for the first time in your life, as an adult, you're going to be free. If nothing else, I'm going to make you feel good about that. Because it's not anything that reflects on your parenting. He had a wind that went through his brain. Today, I want to go live with my father. We can pal around together. We're going to be buddies. I want to bond with him a little bit. Terrific. You have other children, sir?
I live with my current wife, and we do have a 5-year-old daughter together.
Great! Now you got 2 kids to worry about.
Yes.
You are the man. Good for you.
Fun.
Oh, definitely. Good for you. Okay, now Camden.
Yes.
This is why your father has included you in this lawsuit, because you're a minor. Now, You had use of a car when you were living with your mother. The car was her car because it was in the judgment of divorce, according to what I read, she got that car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And according to your mother, she put in a lot of money in the car to make it drivable, and you drove that car. And according to you, you put in some money also. You put in, I don't know, rims and the things that kids put in cars, right?
Actually, I made it runnable.
Mr. McClure, I don't want to hear you encouraging him at all. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
This isn't supposed to be a bad thing for him. This is supposed to be a good thing for him.
Yes, it is.
That he's come to live with you, he's got a mother, she loves him, he's supposed to love her, not be angry with her. I'm a little angry with you for including him in this lawsuit, for even permitting it to go forward without saying to him, Camden, you're wrong, this is your mom's car. I got a car when we got a divorce, she got a car when we got a divorce, this is her car, it's not your car. That's what you should have done.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yes?
The car was purchased approximately when Camden was 12 years old, and everybody in the family was under the understanding...
I don't care what the understanding was. You were living with your wife at the time?
Correct.
All right. Listen to me very carefully, sir. Now you're divorced, and in the judgment of divorce, she got the car. Did you take a car?
I took a vehicle, yes, and she
Good.
received this vehicle.
And if she got one car and you got another car, then what you do is you want your son to have a car, give him your car if he comes to live with you.
He does.
Don't say to him, that was your car. Everybody understood it was going to be your car when you turned 16.
That's correct,
How many
Your
cars
Honor.
did you give her? 2 cars or 1?
2?
2?
Yes.
From you?
Yes.
Tell me.
87 Buick Riviera and the 86 Pontiac Trans Am.
And what did you get?
An 86 Trans Am and my 93 Chevy pickup.
So you did a little bit better.
I
By about 5-6 years.
Yeah, the only vehicle that I had payments on was the pickup.
Listen to me. You did a little better.
Yes, I did fine.
Good. So now you have 2 cars, and she has 2 cars. And if your son comes to live with you, give him one of your cars.
He currently has his own vehicle, Your Honor.
Perfect. Then why are we here, Camden?
Because some of the parts that I put on that car to make it runnable, so I worked for those and installed them.
And you used the car.
Yes.
Did you pay for the car?
No.
Did you pay to have the repairs done on the car other than the few parts that you put in?
All the repairs that were done were by myself.
You put in all the repairs since you're 12 years old?
Me and my father, 10.
I'm talking about you. It's not your car. It's your mother's car. She let you drive it. You don't belong here suing her. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are the custodian for his money, and you can't take it out.
I didn't necessarily spend it. Camden did.
And later today,
The cop pulled me over. I had a 12-pack, but there was only 6 of them left.
Was it inside your belly? Inside your little tummy? 6-pack?
Yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Camden McClure says his mother, Gay McClure, owes for the value of car parts and for closing his savings account.
Now, let's talk about this bank account that you claim your mother closed out and took your money. How much money was in this bank account?
$528.
And where did you get it from?
Working for my grandfather, yard sales, things like that.
When was the account closed?
August 25th in 2003.
Did you put any money into that account allegedly after August of 2003?
No.
Well, you were still living with your mother then?
Yes.
Tell me what happened with that account in 2003.
I do not know. She said that she closed the account.
You closed the account in August 2003. Why?
Because we lived way out of town. And when he needed money for, you know, the church group or whatever activity that he wanted to go, if he didn't happen to tell me the day before, I didn't have the money on hand. So he either didn't get to go or, you know, I'd have to go all the way back into town to take the money out of the bank.
Why didn't you pay for it?
I did on a lot of things.
You should have paid for it on everything. Do you work?
No.
Well, how do you support yourself?
I was on public assistance.
Did you know that your mother was receiving public assistance?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there things that you needed that you didn't have money for?
A few things, nothing too important.
Like what?
Just daily necessities. Sometimes it was hard.
So is it possible that this money got used up?
Possibly.
Did you know that your mother was going to the bank to take this money out in small amounts when you needed the money? Did she say, well, go to your bank account and take out the money?
No, I didn't.
You
Yes,
sure
he
about
did.
that?
Yes, he did. And it was even under his suggestion, Mom, why don't you just close the account, have the money here at the house, so you don't have to worry about running all the way back into town and running back when he would want money for
Did that
something.
sound familiar to you, Camden?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Camden says that he worked.
Yes.
And he put his money into that bank account.
Yes, he did. I also put money in there that he did not, per se, work for, but yes.
She didn't put any money that I didn't work for in there.
Can I see the transactions from the savings account, please?
Go back over there.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. This money was originally opened with $300. The only money that was put in was $227 after your mother put it in. So, Camden, my question to you is it possible, sir, that that's the extent of the money that you put in this account, $227?
That bank was opened here in Boise, and most of the money I made was when we still lived in Twin Falls. So that's why there's a $300 deposit.
Well, that's the beginning balance.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. McClure, let me tell you this. There's no question that this car is your car. I'm dismissing that part of your son's lawsuit that deals with that car. I do, however, think that he has a legitimate complaint with regard to the savings account that was in his name where he put his money. This is his money. You are the custodian for his money, and you can't take it out and spend it unless you're prepared to show me exactly what you spent it on.
I didn't necessarily spend it. Camden did.
All right. On your lawsuit, sir, I am awarding you the $528.85 for the money that's in the account. I hope that that satisfies you. I want you to be a smart boy.
Thank you.
Just because you decided to live with your father doesn't mean that you don't have a mother anymore. I've already explained to her that she should be the second happiest person in this room today because she has a little bit of freedom, and she should use that to get herself together, to get a job, to start taking care of herself, which she clearly hasn't done in a very long time. That's her responsibility. She doesn't have any children at home. She doesn't have any reason why she can't get a job and work.
I have one.
Well, it's been a long time coming. It is time now for you to take care of yourself and nobody else to take care of you. You owe your former husband $624 and your son $528. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I love him very much. I always will, no matter what he says or does. That's just the way it is.
I just thought, you know, fair is fair. You know, you should at least try to straighten things out.
And as far as Camden and I are concerned, that's only up to Camden.
I'm not sure. That's for time to be told.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Thomas McMillan versus Chrisley. Step forward, please.
Tricia Thomas and her fiancé Wesley McMillan are suing former friend Billy Chrisley for causing them to be ticketed for the possession of marijuana.
According to what I read, you were traveling in two cars, leaving Texas on your way to Arkansas because of Hurricane Rita.
Yes, ma'am.
You were traveling behind Miss Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
In the car that you were traveling in was Mr. McMillan, one of Miss Thomas's children.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Thomas was traveling in front of you, and in your car was another one of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chrisley, you were pulled over by the police.
Yes, ma'am.
For tailgating.
Yes, ma'am.
What did the policeman say to you?
Well, he pulled me over for tailgating. That's what he told me he pulled me over for.
In what state were you when you
In
got
Oklahoma.
pulled? Oklahoma.
We were on our way back.
Go ahead.
So he pulled us over. He asked me for my license, registration, all that for the car. And I told him I didn't have my license, and I just got the car, so I didn't have no insurance, no registration, no nothing on it, because I just got it.
Well, what about your license?
It was expired, and I still had to leave to go to Arkansas, and I just drove back, you know.
Could we move on, please? What else did the police officer say to you?
So he ran my record and everything else. Then he asked me if I had anything, and I told him yes. And so he went back to my...
Well, you said yes, and he said, what?
No, we just went back to my car. I gave him what I had.
Well, what did you have?
I just had maybe a joint and a half.
Of marijuana?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you have it?
In my center console.
Where'd you get it from?
I brought it from home.
Had you used it while you were in Arkansas?
Yes, ma'am.
And you only had a little bit left?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, so now, against that backdrop, Officer Byrd, the police officer gave him a ticket and also gave Mr. McMillan a ticket because under the laws in the state of Oklahoma, if there's marijuana or drugs in the car, everybody's responsible. So everybody gets a ticket. So Mr. McMillan got a ticket, and Miss Thomas over here had to pay the ticket, or else she was leaving Mr. McMillan in Oklahoma. And she wanted him home because it looks to me as if you're expecting.
Yes, ma'am.
How wonderful.
Tricia Thomas and fiancé Wesley McMillan say former friend Billy Chrisley caused them to be cited for possession of marijuana.
So, since you had to come up with this money because of his personal use of marijuana, you really feel as if he should take care of the ticket.
Correct.
I don't think I should because I already admitted up to my own stuff.
But why is it his fault?
Well, I don't see why the cop gave him a ticket for my stuff. I already gave it to him.
Because that's the law in Oklahoma. I haven't seen that law, but I must assume in Oklahoma, if you are an adult and you are apprehended or stopped in a car and there is contraband, you know what that is? You know, bad stuff, contraband?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody in the car is responsible.
Okay.
That's the law. So your suggestion that he sue the cop really doesn't make sense. Now, if you said to me, look, he shared the marijuana with me, he smoked the marijuana in Arkansas, he knew it was there because we both used it together.
Well, we did.
Did you?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, where did you do that?
While we were up there.
In Arkansas?
Yes, ma'am.
Really? You sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Mr. McMillan.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I've been clean from every drug and alcohol for over 6 months and still going.
Well, sometimes there's a little bit of stress, Mr. McMillan, when you're escaping a hurricane.
Nope.
Because of the stress, he started smoking cigarettes again.
That was it.
Where were you in Arkansas, sir, when he was smoking this marijuana with you?
We were at the person's house that we were staying at. We just walked around the woods.
No, ma'am. The only time that me and Mr. Crisply ever took a walk, we went to the woods. There was nothing ever done. We ran down the side of a mountain and came back up, and that was it.
Now, when was your license suspended?
It was suspended in about, I think, 2002.
For what?
My dad gave me the keys to his truck so to give back to my mom. And when the cop pulled me over, they searched me, and all I had in there was, I had a 12-pack, but there was only 6 of them left. But when they searched the truck, they found a little baby roach that was in a film case that was in the truck, which I didn't know was there.
More drugs and alcohol.
Well, the alcohol was mine.
Was inside your belly, inside your little tummy? 6-pack?
Yes.
So you lost your license because of drugs and alcohol?
No, it was just the drugs. They didn't charge me with the alcohol.
Just the drugs. How'd you come up with the $940 to pay your ticket?
My ticket was $1,261.
Well, how'd you come up with $1,261
I had to borrow it from my mom, and I'm still paying her back. They had to use their house note to pay for that fine. And by the time it added all up, it was $1,343.
You want to know something?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe him. I believe that Mr. McMillan knew that he had marijuana.
I didn't know he had it in the car.
I know you didn't, but Mr. McMillan did, and I believe he used it with him. Now, that certainly would indicate to me that he bore some responsibility for this marijuana being in the car. So I suggest you get your money from him. And while the defendant acknowledges that this was his marijuana, everything else he's told me, I believe. He's not making up this stuff because he's certainly not making himself look too good, right? You understand that I don't think you look like a model citizen.
Which I know I'm not.
We know you're not.
Yes, ma'am.
But I believe you when you say that he was smoking marijuana with you in Arkansas. You are telling me the truth, aren't you, sir? I believe you. So that being the case, Mr. McMillan, you pay your own ticket, and I suggest you reimburse your fiancé for the ticket. You knew the stuff was there. You enjoyed it while you were in Arkansas. You got to pay the piper. Case dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, he knew I had it with me.
When we got pulled over, it was, okay, we're getting pulled over.
Because he smoked it with me and everything.
And I was like, okay, well, we're both going to jail.
I think it was about the money.
It's just, it happened.
Joanne Smithson is suing her husband's cousin, Doris Smithson, for medical bills due to an assault. Doris claims Joanne verbally abused her elderly father.
Yeah, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of Smithson versus Smithson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Smithson, you and the defendant are related to each other through marriage. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you. You want her to be responsible for your medical bills and whatever pain and suffering you experienced as a result of an assault. You say that the plaintiff was disrespectful to your father-in-law?
To my father.
To your father. And that what ensued as a result of her being disrespectful was really no more than a scuffle, and the plaintiff was not injured. That's
Correct.
your defense. You both live in the same town?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And what town is this?
Bethesda, Paytonsville.
Maryland?
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Franklin, Tennessee.
And how long have you been a Smithson?
27 years.
And you?
All my life. It's my maiden name.
Are there rich Smithsons and poor Smithsons?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I gather from these papers.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you one of the rich Smithsons or
Yes,
one of the
ma'am.
poor Smithsons?
I'm one of the richer Smithsons.
And you?
The poor Smithsons.
No, I got it. But I gather that the rich Smithsons and the poor Smithsons don't get along too well. So I want you to tell me your first name.
Doris Darnell Smithson.
And your first name?
Joanne.
I'm going to ask if you would allow me to be a little less formal because, first of all, Smithson is a tongue twister. And second of all, I want to be able to differentiate between the two of you. So would you mind if I were a little less formal? Is that all right? All right, Doris, tell me what precipitated this problem? I want you to explain to me.
Well, at the time, I really didn't know there was a problem. You know, there's always been harassment in the family ever since she's been in it, actually. But we've always got along with her because of my father's 92-year-old brother.
Okay. Now, your father's brother
Lives
is
with
her father-in-law.
Yes, ma'am. And it actually was me and her husband that actually had the argument.
Okay. Just tell me what precipitated the argument.
Okay,
There was a sale of property.
Yes,
An estate sale.
Estate sale.
And it was the estate sale of your father-in-law who was selling off personal property.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that so far right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, I go up there in good nature. We talk good. I talked with Joanne. I talked with Sam Jr. about stuff that they still had to sell. And I asked them if they had any more of Mammy's stuff, you know, my grandmother's. And they said no. Then they were talking about a lamp that my father wanted. I have no idea about this oil lamp she's talking about. And I said, well, what kind of oil lamp is it he's wanting? And maybe I can get him one. And then Sam Jr. starts coming out discussing.
Sam Jr. is her husband?
Her husband.
Okay.
See, so this was really mine and Sam Jr.'s argument.
Okay. You and her husband got into an argument.
Me and her husband got in an argument.
Over this missing oil lamp.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay. So he starts just fussing and just really getting mad, and I'm just calm. I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. You know, you've always been the greedy one in the family, and he always has. He's always been different from all of us.
What day was this, Doris?
Our fight was April the 16th, so it was the Saturday before that.
It was the 10th.
10th of April. That was a week before this altercation that you had with Joanne.
Yes, ma'am. You know, so I left, and when I get home, he had called and said that my father went to their sale and left his lounge chairs. Him and my mother left their lounge chairs there.
Did they purchase these chairs?
No, it was their chairs that they took to sit in at the auction. So the next day, my father goes up there to get these chairs, and she clobbers him, just literally clobbers him.
Okay, would you step up, please, sir? Your last name is?
Smithson.
Mr. Smithson, tell me what happened when you went to get your chairs.
When we didn't get the chair, it was on a Sunday. So I called Joanne and I asked, I said, we left 2 chairs up there. Did somebody get them or they're still out? She said, they're sitting out there in front of the barn. So I said, I'll be up there in the morning, which had been Monday morning, so I'll be up there around 9:30 or 10 to get them. She said, that'd be fine. So about 9:30, I went up there. I stopped right in front of the trailer at the parking place. And when I got out, my brother was sitting on the porch. And she come out, and that's when she started shaking her finger at me, cussing. And my brother got up.
What did she say to you?
She called me SB's, MF, you name it, she called it.
But she had locked his chairs up in her trunk and wasn't going to let him have him. You're going to listen to me. You tell Darnell.
You listen to me. You weren't listening to me. Doris, you weren't there. And your father is doing just fine.
But finally, she come off my porch, and I said, Joanne, where my chair at? She said, well, you gonna listen to me first. I said, no, I didn't come up here to argue with you. I said, I come get my chairs. So finally, she got the chairs out of the car and rammed them up again and said, hey, you these chairs. She said, let me tell you some others. We got the lamp, but the only way you get it be busted over your D head. And she said they're married, but Sam Jr. tell everybody they ain't married. So I don't know.
Well, that's not for me to figure out right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Smithson.
Thank you,
may
Your
have
Honor.
a seat. What did you yell at him about?
I did.
Joanne, yes, you did. You did. I know you did. You know, I know you did. because I can tell when people are telling me the truth, and he's told me the truth. What were you yelling at him about?
I didn't yell at him, Your Honor. He came up to the front porch. That's when I went outside. And then I said, I've got something I need to talk to you about. And I said, I don't want to hear any more about this oil lamp.
Did you put the chairs in the trunk of your car?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because I was afraid that with these type of people we're dealing with, they could have said we stole them or anything.
Listen, do you understand what I mean when I say to you that I can tell when people are lying to me, Miss Smithson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can tell by their body English, you can tell by their hesitation, you can tell by their shifting, you can tell. I can tell. That's my job. I've been doing it for 35 years. So I can tell that you just made up a story. You were terribly disrespectful to him. There was no reason for you to put his chairs in the trunk of your car. Absolutely none.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Darnell comes behind my car and opens up the door, and after that, I don't remember the hit.
And later today,
You're told that your daughter's lungs are bleeding because of this bird, and you keep the bird November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Where is your head?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joanne Smithson claims her husband's cousin, Doris Smithson, attacked her, slamming her face into the dashboard of a car. Doris claims Joanne is the family troublemaker.
Now who are you?
Amber.
You're the one with the oil lamp.
No.
Where is the oil lamp?
Well, the oil lamp that they're talking about, I have no idea what oil lamp they're talking about.
Well, let's say any oil lamp, Amber. Let's start with any oil lamp, and I want you to be very clear on this, my dear.
Okay.
I can tell when your mother's lying, and I can tell when you're lying.
Well.
So, let's get to this. Do you live at home?
No, I don't.
You live in your own place?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an oil lamp in your place?
No, I don't.
Any oil lamp?
No, I have no.
Have you ever seen an oil lamp in your mother and father's house?
I've seen several oil lamps.
How many?
10, 12, maybe.
Oh, okay. Do you know of any ones that you've seen in your mother and father's home that belonged to your grandmother?
I wouldn't know if it belonged to her or not.
So what you're telling me is you know nothing about the oil lamp. All right. Now you can have a seat. You're very lucky. Where's his oil lamp?
This oil lamp does not exist.
Fine. Now, I've already made a decision that you behaved badly with Mr. Smithson. That does not excuse an assault if one took place. Doris, you have to understand that. Too. So now, Joanne, I want you to tell me what happened on the 16th of April when you were getting some gas.
Okay. My husband and I went to a local market, Bethesda Market. I was sitting in my car, seatbelt on. My husband went inside to get us a cold drink because we was on our way to the flea market. Darnell comes behind my car and opens up the door.
The passenger door?
Yes. And I looked up, and it was Darnell. And after that, I don't remember the hit. There's several things I remember, some things I don't remember.
Do you have photographs of your injuries?
I have a diagram, photograph from the emergency room.
The answer is you do not have photographs.
No.
You have medical records.
Right.
Good, I'll see the medical records. Anybody have a police report?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I've got two. The day of the assault and also the revenge assault against me over the lamp that I was cleared of.
What?
The same day, she and her father took out a revenge warrant against me over a lamp.
I never heard of a revenge warrant.
Well, it is.
No,
Okay.
there's no such thing as a revenge warrant.
Then what is
They
it?
filed a complaint against you.
Okay. The same day the assault happened.
Well, there is absolutely no issue as to whether you were assaulted or not. You were, in fact, assaulted.
Also, I was...
Shh.
Okay.
Mr. Smithson.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up here, sir. You filed a complaint with the police.
I did not.
Well, your daughter did. And the most important thing is that when the police officer questioned you, you told the police as follows, because this is in the police officer's own language, Mr. Smithson, that's you, said that when he returned home, that he told his daughter Darnell about Joanne's actions and abusive language and remarks that were directed towards him, that you told your daughter. According to Mr. Smithson, Darnell said that when next she saw Joanne, that she would whoop her. And from his testimony, she did. Did your daughter say that to you?
I didn't even see my daughter that day, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Whether it was that day or the next day, you told the police. You wouldn't have lied to the police, would you, Mr. Smithson?
No, I would not.
Either you told the police that your daughter said she was going to whoop Joanne, or the police officer is lying. Which one do you think it is?
I'm not going to say the officer's lying, no.
Good. I'm glad you wouldn't say that, Mr. Smithson. Sit down now. Okay. Now I'm going to hear you, Doris, because you see.
Yes, ma'am.
I know when people are lying, like Joanne here.
Yes.
But I can read medical records, and I know she was assaulted.
But not $4,000 worth. I have one.
I want to tell you
here.
something. Not $4,000 worth. How much do you think it's worth when somebody hits you in the face?
Well, I really never hit her.
Yes, you did.
All I did was just, she come out of her car. Nobody seen me hit her.
I didn't ask whether anybody. I saw the medical.
Listen
to me. I saw the medical records. She was hit in the face.
Okay. Okay. I was also scratched right here.
Did she go to your car?
No, I live right across the store. I'm going to the store. They're already there. And she hollers at me first, "Hey, you." And I said, oh, Lord, here's Joanne. You know, she starts coming out of her car. I calmly just set her right back down in her seat.
That's worth $4,000, madam.
Well,
because what you're doing is fibbing to me.
Joanne Smithson claims her husband's cousin, Doris Smithson, attacked her, slamming her face into the dashboard of a car. Doris claims Joanne is the family troublemaker.
Doris, A, medical records don't lie. Diagrams of her injuries don't lie. Listen, pay careful attention. Because you were angry that your father was disrespected by Miss Big Mouth over here.
Well, if
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Without any just cause, because I do have a feeling that she's a troublemaker. I believe that. Yeah. Because I think that probably a lot of things that were sold, things that might have had sentimental value to both brothers, should have been, before you sell them to strangers, you say, listen, would you like something of Mom's? Would you like something that's been in the family for a long time? That's what decent people do, Joanne. And if you didn't do that, and if your husband didn't do that, that means you're not decent people. Do you understand? However, that doesn't mean you can put your hands on her. So, the fact that she disrespected your father, and the fact that you did say to him, next time I see her, I'm going to whoop her, the fact that you did it is going to cost you $4,000. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I run to her car. I jumped in there. I jumped on her and I grabbed her like that. And if she jumps on him again, I'll do it again.
This is such a dysfunctional family.
All of our families together. They're the only one that's out of the family.
I don't even associate with these people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Franks. Step forward.
Amber Smith is suing her sister, Vanessa Franks, for selling her cockatoo and keeping the proceeds.
Miss Smith, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this case is not going to take long, Bird. Don't get comfortable, because I quite frankly don't understand what the defense is in this case. You sold your sister a bird, an exotic bird. What kind of bird was it?
She was a Moluccan cockatoo.
And you charged her how much for the bird?
Only $700 for the bird in the cage, which is normally worth a lot more.
Please. That's not complicated. You charged her $700.
Yes.
And she was going to pay you.
Yes.
Little bits. And she paid you some. How much did she pay you?
She paid me $100 in November.
And then she stopped making payments.
Yes.
Your sister says that you were supposed to come and get the bird because her daughter had some sort of an illness, that she couldn't be in the house with the bird. She told you to come and get the bird. You didn't come and get the bird, so she sold it.
Yes, ma'am.
And sold it for?
$500.
$500. And you took the $500 and you?
Put it in the bank.
That's my question, Miss Franks. If you sold the bird...
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you think you're entitled to sell the bird and keep the money instead of paying your sister for the bird?
Okay, in November, my daughter's lungs bled in November of 2004. I called my sister on the phone, stated to her, I'm either going to have to sell this bird or you can have the bird back. She said, we want the bird back, don't sell the bird. They came for Thanksgiving. You taking the bird? No, we're not taking the bird. Christmas, are you taking the bird?
Miss Franks, is what you're telling me, just put your hand down. So what you're telling me that your daughter's lungs were bleeding because of the bird.
Right.
And you kept the bird in your house between November, when your daughter was diagnosed with this illness?
No, she's been diagnosed since birth.
Well, between the time you were told to get rid of the bird in November and you kept the bird till Christmas?
The bird was actually in my home until right at the beginning of May.
What town do you live in?
Milledgeville, Georgia.
Anywhere in the state of Georgia, do they have an animal rescue?
Not
of course
where
they
I
do.
live, no.
I don't care where you live or not. They do have trees in Georgia, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, if my child had bleeding lungs, and doctor told me in November that I had to get rid of this bird because this bird was causing my child's lungs to bleed, and if I couldn't find someone to take that bird, it is warm in Georgia, isn't it?
For part of the year, yes.
Well, I would hope that it was the right part of the year, because that window would be open, that bird would be gone. I don't understand where you're coming from. You're told that your daughter's lungs are bleeding because of this bird. And you keep the bird November, December, January, February, March, April, May! Where is your head?
She's my sister at the same time.
Please don't speak. Okay. Listen to me, Miss Smith.
Yes.
Your sister acknowledges that she told you she was going to give you $700 for the bird.
Yes.
I haven't heard anything cogent as to why she should be able to sell a bird that she didn't pay for and not pay for it. Anybody hear a reason? Hearing none, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had 7 months to come and get her bird after calling several times to say, I'm coming to get my bird, and never did.
She kept telling me that she wanted it, or my mom was attached to it. She was going to pay for it out of her taxes, and I waited. And really, all in the back of her mind, she was going to sell it for more money.
They never provided any care for their bird whenever I was feeding the bird.
You bought it, you paid for it.
I don't have a sister anymore.
I haven't talked to her in 7 months, so I guess what's the difference now?
Lucky Feinstein is suing bar owner Nancy Fairley for medical bills after he was assaulted by one of her employees. Lucky also claims his truck was vandalized.
All rise. This is case number 269 on the calendar in the matter of Feinstein versus Fairley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Feinstein, it is your complaint that you were assaulted and your car vandalized while you were at the defendant's bar.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defendant, although I don't think you were there, is that right?
I wasn't there.
She says through her employees, I'm sure she has witnesses here, are going to tell me that you were very drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
And, well, I gather you acknowledge that you were very drunk, and any injuries that you sustained were sustained as a result of you flailing around and hurting yourself, and they don't know anything that happened to your car. So, what's the name of your bar, pub?
Scotland Yard Pub.
Which of your employees was there that evening?
Justin and Eric.
All right, stand up, please. And you don't know anything about this of your own personal knowledge?
No, I wasn't there.
You can have a seat. Justin?
Yes.
And Eric?
That's correct.
What is your given first name?
Lucky.
That's what your parents named you?
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting. Are you an only child?
No. There's 3 other siblings.
Are you the first, second, third, or the fourth?
I'm the 4th.
You're the last one.
Lucky to be here.
Got it. Okay. When did this incident happen at the pub?
The 22nd of what?
First, we got to get the date. Questions get harder, Lucky.
7/22, I believe it was.
Had you been to this pub before?
Only a couple times before this.
Immediately prior to the 22nd of July, when had you been to the pub?
Maybe a week before that.
So sometime the 15th, 16th.
Yeah.
Prior to that, when had you been to the club?
Maybe a month previous to that one.
Never had any trouble there?
Never, no.
You have a drinking problem?
No, not necessarily. Yeah, I like to drink, but I don't consider myself having a problem with it, no.
Well, according to you, Lucky, on the 22nd of July of 2005, you were drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
If I had to place a wager, I would say you have at least a minor problem with alcohol.
I would agree with that, yes.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents.
They still think they're lucky?
I help them. I think that they do, yes, because I help them out.
So tell me what happened on the 22nd, Lucky.
Okay, in the afternoon, I was at my friend's restaurant, which is a couple doors down from theirs.
What were you doing there?
I was eating pizza. They have a pizza place. I've been going there for the past 25 years. And I decided to go next door, and I was advised to never ever go into that place because I would end up in trouble there, because there's always trouble over there. I went over there and ended up there a lot longer than I anticipated. I had way more drinks than I, wanted to have, but I was having a good time, so I kept on.
How were you having a good time?
Well, I was shooting pool, and I was talking to people, and I was buying several people drinks. Then, approximately 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, I made the mistake.
What time did you arrive there?
Oh, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had maybe 12 beers there or something like that. I was out of control, I admit that, but I didn't cause any problems. I wasn't obnoxious.
When you say you were out of control, Lucky,
well, drinking-wise.
Tell me what you mean.
Drinking-wise, I overdid it drinking-wise, and I knew that I was drunk and I wasn't about to drive out of there, to leave, I was going to call a taxi, and I went into the bathroom. That was the mistake I made because the bouncer was in there. No words were exchanged. I looked at him, and the next thing I know, I was out unconscious. And then I found myself in the parking lot, left for dead. When I came to, first thing I saw was him again.
Which one?
This guy here in the black shirt.
That would be Eric.
I asked him for help, realizing that my wallet was missing, and if I could go back in the bathroom to see if my wallet was in there. He said, "No, you're drunk. Get out of here." And then he said the police are coming too. So I said, well, okay, well, I would like to wait for the police and talk to them. The police came, and they just told me that I need to go home too. Call a taxi, do whatever, go home.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do. Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to see it. Go ahead.
I went over to my truck, my tailgate, and sat there. A couple women came over and were sitting next to me, assuring me everything's going to be okay. A couple minutes go by, and the police come back again, which I was not causing any more problems, that's for sure.
Well, somebody called them.
They were called again.
But they weren't called by you.
No, ma'am.
So they were called by somebody about your behavior.
But I wasn't doing anything.
That's not my question. I said they were called by somebody about your behavior.
They were called a second time.
Oh, okay. Well, this isn't the police report about their call. This is a police report that you made that said that somebody punched you in the mouth and took your property. There has to be a police report of when they responded to their calls. You did call the police, didn't you?
I called the first time.
Who called the second time?
One of the customers that was out in the parking lot.
You have a copy of that police report?
No, I do not.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay, so then the police came for the second time, and they said, we're going to take you home. We're going to give you a taxi ride home. And they put me in handcuffs, which is very embarrassing to me to be put in handcuffs like I'm being arrested. At that point, I realized that I needed to go to the hospital. My face was puffing up, my back of my head, I was dizzy. So they said, would you like an ambulance? I said, yes, I would very much like an ambulance. I went to the hospital, they sewed my lip up, and then I walked back towards my vehicle, which is several miles away from there. And it was about 2:30 in the morning at that time. I realized that my truck was vandalized. My windshield was busted. My car was keyed around the sides of my car. My tailpipes were kicked down to the ground. And at that point, I realized that I better not say anything to them. And so there was a taxi out in the parking lot, and I was taken home. The very next morning, I went back there, and I talked to the owner, Patrick Sirely, and asked him if he would mind paying my hospital bill because I was beaten up in his establishment.
But you don't know who beat you up.
I'm not clear on that, but all I know is I saw him, and then I was out cold. And then I found myself in the parking lot coming to, and then I saw him again, at my feet, basically. Or I was at his feet.
So who's going to start?
I'll start.
Okay, take your hands out of your pockets and start.
When I got to work that night at 7, he came up to order another beer about a half hour into my shift, and I noticed that he was intoxicated, so I refused to serve him, and he went haywire and slammed his fist down on the bar.
Put your hand down, sir.
Called me a name that I don't think I can say. He started ripping up $100 bills in front of everyone from his wallet. Nobody laid a finger on him inside the bar. I didn't want to get into a physical altercation with him, so I waited till our doorman got on at 9. Finally, when he was put outside of the bar, he kept charging Eric, trying to bust his way back in. I went out to see what was going on. He threatened to get a gun from his truck and kill me and Eric and everybody else in the parking lot, began kicking his own truck, pounding his head into his own truck, and punching into his own truck and other people's cars in the parking lot. At one point, you know, he like knelt down in front of Eric, took off his shirt, and said, just kill me right now, just kill me right now. And that's what it seemed like it was going to get to a point where I needed to call the police, because people were very angry that he was...
Is that when you called the police the first time?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you drank too much, it's your fault. Nobody got you down there with a funnel and filled your stomach full of beer. You managed to do that all by yourself.
And later today...
You think you have an obligation to support your daughter?
He never asked for support, or I would have given it to him.
Why does he have to ask?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lucky Feinstein says during a night of drinking, he was assaulted by bar doorman Eric Galan. Eric and his co-worker Justin Murphy claim Lucky was out of control drunk.
Okay, Eric, you got on about 9 o'clock?
Yeah, about 9 o'clock, and it wasn't too long until Justin called me over. And I tell Lucky that he was done for the evening, he needed to go someplace else. He asked why. He said, I told him that, you know, you were giving a problem to our bartender. Come back some other night, I'll buy you a beer, and, you know, that'll be the end of it. He got upset and irate, said that he had a gun in his truck, and he was going to start shooting the place up. One of the customers that was sitting outside got upset by that. They started having a yelling match. I got involved. I separated the two. And he continued to threaten people that were around. He said, I was going to come back and get you, shoot you, shoot you. And that's when he tried to bully his way through me. And as soon as he touched me, I just put him to the ground, held him down.
When you say you put him to the ground, how did you put him to the ground, Eric?
Tripped his leg and put him on his back, one hand on his chest, one hand holding his arm. I said he needed to calm down. As soon as I let go of his arm, he swung on me. And, you know, I just knocked it out of the way and held him down again. And Justin was outside and said, do I need to call the cops? I said, yes, please call the police officers. I got off of Lucky, went inside to make sure the cops were coming. Came back outside like after a minute or two, and Lucky was already laid up against the wall at the pizzeria. Now, I didn't talk to Lucky at all in the bathroom. I don't know where that came from. So after he was laid out, he woke up like a couple minutes later, and he asked me who knocked him out. I had no idea who did it. And then he started accusing me that I stole his wallet.
Did you find his wallet in the pub? Did you find your wallet subsequently?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
You know, the police officers came. They spoke with him. They spoke with me. They said they needed to take another call, but he was going to leave the area. He was walking down the alley. As soon as the cops were out of sight, he came back and continued to talk to some other person who wasn't even there that night.
Where were you when you observed this?
Standing at the door.
You remember any of that, sir?
No, ma'am. I never left that parking lot. I was waiting for the police to come because I wanted to.
The police came already, sir. They came and they left.
Right, and then they came back a second time.
Right. My question is, why did they have to come back a second time? Why didn't you just leave?
Because I was very drunk. I wasn't about to go anywhere, and I was sitting on my tailgate wondering, what am I going to do now?
Listen to me very carefully, sir. When you're very drunk, it's very, very difficult for a court to make a judgment as to the veracity, the truthfulness of what you testify to, and to give any credence to what you testify to. You are asking me to believe you above two people who were working that evening, sober that evening, have a clear recollection, at least according to them, of what transpired that evening, as opposed to believing you who was so drunk they didn't know on which pole they were at.
Ma'am, I'm saying that they're lying about this whole thing, that he's saying that he didn't give me any more drinks after 7 o'clock at night. I was in there drinking heavily. I was having beer after beer. They gave me way, way too many beers, in my opinion. I don't think that
How
that's
old
right.
Are you?
I'm 41.
So is this what your complaint is, sir, that the bar overserved you?
Yes, ma'am, one thing. But I don't think that that should
Eric,
happen.
we started this case by my saying to you, do you have a drinking problem? And you said to me, I don't think so. Maybe a little. That's like being a little bit pregnant. You never have a little bit of a drinking problem, Lucky. Now, if you were 18 years old, I would say, I'm going to nail them, because a bar should know that a kid comes in and you don't serve a kid more alcohol than they can consume. When you're 41 years old, you're supposed to know how much alcohol you can consume and still have your wits about you. And according to you, you were warned, don't go in there. There's always trouble in that bar. But when you were at this place twice before, according to you, had no trouble. So they clearly didn't have it in for you for any reason.
I believe that they do have it in for me.
Explain that to me.
Because mainly there's just Mexicans in there, and they always call me white boy.
Lucky. Did they call you white boy on the 15th of July?
No.
Did they call you white boy the month before that when you went in there?
No.
You didn't change composition from July 15th to July 22nd, did you? You were drunk. Stop blaming the rest of the world. You were drunk. Either you fell, you got beaten up, you don't know who did it, your car got trashed, you don't know who did that. You have to accept responsibility for your own behavior. If you drank too much, it's your fault. Nobody got you down there with a funnel and filled your stomach full of beer. Nobody. You managed to do that all by yourself. If you had gotten into your car and killed somebody on the way home, I would take every piece of property that this lady had.
Which someday will happen.
Just a second. I would take every piece of property that this lady had, because under those circumstances, both of you would be responsible. I take every bit of property you had, and I take every bit of property she had, because somebody who was innocent got killed. The only one that got hurt that night was you. And you caused that yourself. So deal with it. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They're lying. No, I don't have a gun.
He threatened me. He pounded his fist on the bar.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Started harassing the female customers.
I don't know if it was the bartender, but a lot of people, they beat me up.
Threatening people who were trying to help.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Suda, Frazier versus Hebb. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Nikki Frazier and guardian Sam Suter are suing Nikki's mother, Stacy Hebb, for child support costs. Nikki says her mom won't turn over child support she receives from her father.
Mr. Suter, your complaint is that you and your family were nothing but kind to the defendant. She was having some difficulty, and she was unemployed several years ago. Her daughter and your daughter were friends since grade school, and you volunteered to give her a home.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was 16. How did you do in their home, in the Suter home? Did you do okay?
Yes.
Did you graduate yet?
Oh, I graduate in a couple weeks.
What are you doing after graduation?
I want to go to college.
How did you do in high school?
I make good grades.
She's been AB honor roll all through high school.
Did you apply to college?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because the application fees are like $50 for each application, and my mom told me she'd help me pay for them, but she never helped me pay for it.
So, Mr. Suter, this is your lawsuit. Ms. Fraser lived with you for 2 years, and you got no support for her from her mother. You did not even seek support.
No, ma'am.
But then you found out that Ms. Hebb was getting support for Nikki from Nikki's father, and you feel as if that's unfair.
Somewhat, yes.
This is not rocket science, Ms. Hebb. How long have you been divorced from Nikki's father?
Since she was about 6 or 7.
Do you have other children?
Yes, ma'am.
Are the other children also the product of this marriage?
No, ma'am.
And how much do you receive from Nikki's father for her support?
$50 a week.
What did you do with the money since 2003?
When she has called and said that she didn't have any food in the house and she needed me to take her to eat, I would feed her. If she's needed personal hygiene items, I've taken her. I've paid her cell phone bills. And yes, I did tell her that I would pay for her application fees. She never came to me and said, I've applied here and
I'm not worried about college fees right now and application fees. How do you support yourself?
I'm a live-in nanny.
You think you have an obligation to support your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
So that the things you bought for her, the few toiletries you bought for her, or paying a cell phone bill, you did that for your daughter because you're her mother. That's what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
The $50 a week that you were getting from her father should have gone to the Suter family.
He never asked for support, or I would have given it to him.
Why does he have to ask? Did you ever say to him, Ms. Hebb, Mr. Suter, I get money for Nikki's support from her father. It's not right that I keep it. I'm going to turn it over to you when I get it.
No, ma'am, I didn't. I instead, like I said, whenever she would call and said that she needed things, I would take care of her.
Well, that's what you did for her because you're her mother. She has two parents, a mother and a father. You're the mother. You work, If you have to take care of a few items, if you happen to take care of a few items for your daughter, that's very nice of you. The other $50 a week, if her father knew that she wasn't living in your home, did your father know you weren't living?
He just found out recently because I didn't have his number to get a hold of him.
If her father knew, I guarantee you, her father wouldn't have said, well, I'm going to send her money.
Her father has known. She's gone and seen him since she's lived with Mr. Suter.
I'm just curious. Not that I'm taking this for the truth of what you're going to tell me, but just my own curiosity. Did he ever say to you, if he knew that she wasn't living with you, I'd like to send the money to Mr. Suter?
No, ma'am.
Never did?
No, ma'am.
He must have had a lobotomy. Ms. Hebb, this is not a difficult case. It doesn't even test my academic prowess. The last 2 years, your daughter has been living with the Suter family, and you've collected $50 a week, roughly $2,500 a year. The Suters are suing you for $5,000 because that's approximately what you've collected over the time that your daughter has been living with the Suters from her father, and that money should have been turned over to the Suter family immediately. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all. Make those college applications.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She didn't want to move in with me when we had to move. She would rather stay with her friends and with her family.
She wasn't able to support all 3 of her kids.
Hopefully, Nikki can get a start towards higher education with the money that she got today.
I hope things can be mended. I still love her dearly. She's my daughter.
Mary Freer is suing her stepson, 26-year-old Jonathan Freer, for destroying her home and vehicle. Jonathan claims he was just having a good time.
Yeah, this is case number 291 on the calendar in the matter of Freer versus Freer.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Freer, the defendant is your stepson.
Yes.
How long were you married to his father?
20 years.
Did he live with you during any of that period of time?
Not until recently. He lived with his mother. We saw him until he was 5 years old, and then she basically stole him. And we didn't see him again until he was 18.
Well, your lawsuit says that there came a time when your stepson rented a house from you and your husband. It was a house that you and your husband owned. It was a rental property.
Yes.
And he was supposed to pay rent. He did for a while, then he sort of fell off with the rent. He also was using a car that belonged to who, you or your husband?
Myself.
And your husband, unfortunately, passed away this past summer. And when you went to the rental property, found that he had moved out, and the place was totally trashed.
Yes, it was.
And the car was likewise totally trashed.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want him to pay for that.
He should.
And his defense seems to be that if he had a debt to take care of the house, not the rent, just the condition of the house and the car, the debt was with his father, not with you. And when his father passed away, the debt vanished. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes.
You don't really believe that, do you?
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything funny. I guarantee you that by the time you're finished here, you will not be laughing. How old are you?
26.
How do you support yourself?
I work.
Doing what?
I install glass in buildings.
When did you move into this rental property?
A couple of years ago.
Tell me when. Don't be smart and don't be smug. Are you a drug addict or an alcoholic?
I was.
When?
Back when I was living there.
Really? Both drugs and alcohol?
Yes.
See, I was being sort of facetious because I was going to say you had to be on drugs or alcohol or else you would know how many years ago you moved into this house. So you were an alcohol abuser and a drug abuser.
Yes.
While you were living in the house?
Yes.
Are you still abusing drugs and alcohol?
No.
Did you go into rehab?
No.
You mean you just stopped?
Yeah.
You want to tell me how you did that and when?
Back in February of this year, I was stabbed and
By a stranger?
kind of. I really didn't know him. I was just partying with him.
So you were in the hospital for a while?
Yeah, well, just like one night. It wasn't really that bad. It was stabbed in the back. It just like punctured my lung, just a little.
And?
And after that, my dad had a stroke and stuff, so I just kind of figured I need to start changing my life.
Well, that's a very good thing that you figured you had what we call in the trade an epiphany, a life-altering experience, a wake-up call, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Don't be smart with me. I don't think you're cute. Now, if you have what we call an epiphany, a mind and a life-altering experience, that usually says you want to start doing the right thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And when you were living in this rental property, you'd stop paying rent because you were putting up your nose or in your veins or whatever you were earning, so you stopped paying rent, correct?
Correct.
And you stopped paying for the care of this car, correct?
Correct.
Then you had this experience. Don't you think that you should go back to your old life and say, I have to make certain amends for things that I did, like trashing this house?
No.
Why not?
My dad never really had a problem with it. I mean, they knew I was partying there. They knew I was drinking. They knew I was partying. They knew I had friends coming over.
Can I see pictures of the house, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you living now, sir?
I'm staying with friends.
What did I ask you that was funny?
Nothing.
Why would you trash a house like this, sir?
Just having a good time.
Are you the only child that your father had with your mother?
No.
How many other children did your father have with...
One.
Where is that child?
He kind of stays with my mom.
Does he stay with your mother because he takes care of her?
No.
She takes care of him?
Well, he stays in one of her apartments. I really don't talk to them that much.
Why not?
I really don't like my mom too much.
Did you like your father?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you respect your father?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Well...
And you don't respect him now. Did I wipe the smile off your face? You don't respect him now because if you respected him, you wouldn't have done this to his property. And if the excuse was that you were using drugs and alcohol and therefore you were not in control of yourself, that's not an excuse. That's a reason that you would allow you and your friends to do this to his property. But now you've sobered up. So I don't think that you respect your father or his memory, sir.
Yeah, but
because if you did, then you would say, this property belonged to, at least in part, my father, and I'm disrespecting his memory by leaving it like a pig pen. I'm disrespecting who he was and how nice he was to me by saying to me, listen, we'll give you a home. You don't like your mother. Maybe she's a problem, but I want you to feel as if you have a home with us. Here's a place for you to live, and you take it and trash it. But then you get clean and sober, and you don't fix it. And there's no excuse for that if you want to do the right thing and turn your life around, Mr. Frere. We understand each other?
Yes.
We're not laughing anymore, are we?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His life-altering experience didn't alter the way he thinks. I'm telling you, for your own protection, keep your distance. Bad news.
And later today...
And I told him that I was supposed to meet this woman to give her her backpack. Would it be all right if I left it with him? He was...
You hear those groans?
He was a staff member.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Freer says stepson Jonathan Freer owes for destroying her home and her car. Jonathan says his actions were a result of his drug addiction.
I see the estimates of what it's going to take to clean up this place. I doubt whether the jurisdiction of my court would cover it. It doesn't. All right, now tell me quickly about the car.
He didn't have a vehicle, so I let him use my vehicle. And when I found out he left, we went to the house and the car was in the driveway.
How did you find out that he moved out?
He told my daughter. My daughter speaks with her brother still, and he told my daughter that he was going to move out. She's the one who informed me that he was gone. Did you need to hear that from her?
No, I'm just going to give you some advice. You too. When somebody is a drug abuser, and he acknowledges that he was a drug abuser, and unless they take care of it, it's not going to go away. And his life-altering experience didn't, from what I'm hearing, alter the way he thinks. So you look like two nice young people. Keep your distance. I know you're looking like this. I'm telling you, for your own protection, keep your distance. Bad news. Okay. Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Your Honor, he came to us with some serious problems, and it took us a while, and it appeared that he had straightened his life out. He really was doing great. He had a great job, made good money, and that was why he rented the apartment, why we let him move in, because we figured that it was his family. He was going to take care of it just like we would have. And he did. For over a year, he did. And then I don't know if it was his father getting sick or what happened to him, but it all just hit the wall, and he reverted right back to what he knew. And, you know, what I'm left with
When
is
you say,
to have to pick up the
Ms.
mess.
Frere, listen to me. When he came to you, he had some problems. Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said.
And would those problems include substance abuse?
I'm sure it was. I couldn't prove it, but I would say.
And then he got a job, and he appeared to be okay.
He did very well.
And then he went back to drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
Did you hear what your mother said?
Yes.
Unless you take care of it once and for all, it's like an enemy that you wound over your shoulder. If you wound an enemy, that enemy can always come back to hurt you, right? Mm-hmm. That's drugs. You have to get rid of it. And he's not smart enough to get rid of it on his own. And he's never gone anywhere to help him get rid of it. So he's always going to go back to it. And he's going to suck you in if you let him. You understand?
Yes.
Good. So I'm glad you're working, sir. Good. And if I haven't been able to help you, that's too bad. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When I did confront him, it turned into, you know, I owe the money to my dad, not you.
I guess it's about, you know, doing the right thing, but I think it's more about money.
I'm kind of torn in the middle because I do love my brother, but I know maybe he shouldn't have done the things he did.
I hope we can get by it. I hope we can get past it because I miss him.
Maybe someday, but not right now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blount versus Ale. Step forward, please.
26-year-old Sarah Blount is suing her former friend, Felicia Ale, for losing her backpack. Sarah claims Felicia gave the backpack to a stranger.
Ms. Blount, you are suing the defendant for a backpack and its contents.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lots of expensive goodies in this backpack that you had left in her car.
Yes.
The defendant has a rather interesting defense, which I'm going to allow her to explain to Officer Byrd here, because he's going to be fascinated with the defense. How did you know each other?
We're acquaintances, former co-workers. We've known each other for about a year, and we had both been at the same festival.
What kind of festival was it?
It was a music festival.
When?
It was the weekend ending on Sunday, June 26th.
What were you doing there?
I was working. I have a second job. I was working for the brewery there, and so I had been working every day and camping at night. And
the defendant, what were you doing there?
I was working for the promoter of the festival. I've worked for him for the past 3 years. I'm in charge of ticket sales, handling cash for the festival.
Good. So you saw each other there during the weekend, and
yes.
According to what I read in your complaint, Ms. Blount, the defendant was going to give you a ride home.
Yes, she had offered on the last day, on Sunday, she said, "How are you getting home?" I said, "I'm not sure yet." I knew.
Where do you live?
We both live in Portland, maybe 45-minute drive from
where
the
festival was held?
Yes.
Okay. So she said, "How are you going to get home?"
Yes, and she said, "I'll give you a ride home. Here are my keys. Put your pack in my car." I want to emphasize before anything else that this pack was full of everything I needed for 4 days on cold nights in Oregon. I work at a camping outdoor store. It wasn't cheap, shoddy merchandise. It was very nice. It was several of the items were brand new.
Okay.
A little while later, it started raining. Felicia approached me, said, "You know what? I'm going to go home a little early. I can't give you a ride home." So I said, "Well, let me go get my pack out of your car now." She goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. At 5:30, we will meet." We made plans to meet on the road where the road forks on her way out en route to the exit.
And what time were you going to leave?
I was working that evening, so I wasn't leaving until later in the evening.
Okay, you were going to leave at 5:30.
I had approached Sarah in the beer garden where she was working and said that it was raining and I wasn't going to stay until the festival was over.
So you were leaving early. You were
so I was going to leave early. So I asked her what would be a good time to meet. We both agreed that 5:30 would be a good time. That was a few hours before the meeting time is when I had approached her.
Fine. So what happened?
So she said, "Let's meet where the road forks and we'll meet at my car. If I'm not there, go up to the parking lot," which I knew where that was because I had gone to put my pack in her car at the parking lot. So at 5:30 on the dot, I stopped what I was doing and I went to the road. I couldn't find her. I couldn't see where she was, so I went up to the parking lot. I couldn't see her car there. I'm looking for her car, which is a station wagon. It's a white wagon. I look up and down. I walk up and down the road for approximately 15 minutes, thinking, you know what? I have to get back to work. I don't see her. So I go back to work. I had no cell phone at the time because it was in the pack, and nobody's cell phone had any reception at the point, so I couldn't get a hold of her immediately. So I waited until I got another ride later that evening, and I called her, I think, 2 times, and didn't hear any response until the following morning.
Okay. What happened, Ms. Hale?
I went to my car. I waited at my car till about 5:33 is when I got in my car. I got to the corner at 5:36 and waited for a few minutes, and I didn't see Sarah. So when I had gone to speak with her earlier at the beer garden, she had expressed to me that she needed her pack. So I didn't want to leave the festival with her backpack, knowing that she needed it. The place where I was a one-way out road, and I was blocking the exit to leave the festival, so I couldn't wait there. There happened to be a gentleman sitting in a chair who was a staff member. He had a staff shirt on, sitting in his chair, and I told him what was going on, that I was supposed to meet this woman to give her her backpack there. She wasn't there. Would it be all right if I left it with him? He was...
You hear those groans?
He was a staff member. He was a staff member. He was going to be there for the next hour and a half. She wasn't there, and she'd told me she needed her bag. I had no way of getting a hold of her, so I figured the best thing to do is to leave it in the exact spot where we're supposed to meet. It's a visible spot, and he was going to be there for the next hour and a half. I told him her name, who she worked for, and he said, "Does she know to meet you here?" And I said, "Yes, but it's 5:36, and it's, you know, by this point I had been there a couple of minutes. There were cars behind me trying to leave, and I had to go."
Got it?
All right, can I say, I had no idea I was looking for a man, a stranger.
Just a second. The law is pretty clear. You do not owe her extraordinary care in taking care of this backpack, which you gratuitously said you can put in my car. You owe her what I perceive to be ordinary care. The question is, did you exercise ordinary care in first waiting according to you, giving you every possible benefit of the doubt, 6 minutes beyond the 5:30, 6 minutes, not a half hour, not 40 minutes, not an hour, 6 minutes beyond which you claim she was late. That's giving you every benefit of the doubt. Let's say your watch might have been off a minute or two.
Okay.
Okay? Did you exercise ordinary care in turning this backpack over to someone that, despite the fact that you say he was a staff member because he had a shirt on, you didn't know? He didn't know her. He didn't know what she looked like. She didn't know him. You didn't get a telephone number. You didn't ask him for any identification. You could have said, "Listen, I want to give this to you, but do you have your ID on it so I can take down your name and your phone number in case you don't hook up with us so that she can get in touch with you?" Nothing. You take the backpack and you say, "Here, take it, give it to her. She's supposed to be at 5:30. She's not here at 5:30. It's no longer my responsibility." The law doesn't give you that right, Ms. Ale. The law says you have to exercise ordinary care. And unless you did that, unless you got this man's identification information, his telephone number, a place where he could be contacted so that in case that they couldn't get together, she would have some way of contacting him, not just a man who was wearing a shirt that indicated he worked there.
Well, I had no way of contacting her.
You did not exercise ordinary care. You added up the things in the backpack?
Yes.
What did it come to?
$978.
Can I see the bills, please?
Okay, I have receipts from my place of employment where
Can I
bought
see
them.
it, please?
Your Honor, may I say something?
Yes.
The previous place where we both worked, we had special deals that we were able to purchase from there. We sold a lot of high-end camping items. We also returned a lot of them as well, and were able to resell those items. Employees were able to go to those sales for employees only the night before they were open to the public and purchase those items for extremely discountable prices.
I have claimed nothing
just a second
from those purchases.
So all that I want to say is that I don't know what was in the backpack. The backpack was put in my car. I took the backpack out of my car, but we were able to purchase items for an extremely discounted
And that's
rate.
irrelevant in this case because...
Well, just a second.
Okay.
It's not irrelevant if that's not what you paid for them.
Exactly.
Okay, and what you're testifying to under oath is that you paid $978 for these items. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, and I have receipts for the biggest ticket items.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $978. That's all.
All these are excused. You may step out.
I was acting in what I thought was the best judgment.
Anybody would think that that was an indecent thing to do.
I had no way of getting a hold of Sarah. I did what I thought was best.
Most of the people I call friends would never, ever in a million years do this.
Don't do favors for people.
But I'm really glad that she ruled in my favor because, you know, right is right.
26-year-old student Bobby Pinchuk is suing fellow motorist, student Charles Azure, for an accident caused by his road rage. Charles says it was Bobby who was driving recklessly. He is countersuing for his injuries.
Yeah, this is case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Pinchuk versus Azure. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Pinchuk, you and the defendant don't know each other, but were involved in an incident that can be described as a road rage incident. It is your claim that Mr. Azure caused this accident, which damaged your car. He says it was you who caused the accident. He said that you hit him in the rear. He is counterclaiming because he alleges that because of your conduct, he was forced to drop out of school, to have his education delayed, and he has a counterclaim. When did this incident happen, Ms. Pinchuk?
February 3rd, 2005.
What time of the day or evening?
Approximately 10:30 in the morning.
And where were you going?
I was on my way to work.
Where do you work?
Sacred Heart Medical Building.
What kind of a car were you driving?
Honda Civic, 97.
What kind of car were you driving?
I was driving a 87 Toyota Corolla.
Where were you going?
I was going home. I was leaving school.
You had been in school that morning?
Yeah, I just got out at 10:20, and I was on my way home.
Okay, so Ms. Pinchuk, you tell me your version of what happened, please.
I was driving westbound on Mission.
Show me on your diagram, please.
This is
Which
me
color
here.
are you?
I'm B.
You're blue.
Yes. As I'm driving here, there's a bus that's moving. He pulls out from behind the bus and cuts me off right here. So I went into this turn lane to avoid the accident. I'm attempting to get back over, but he's not letting me. So at this point, after I honked my horn, he then let me in, which as I came here, and he was a bit further down here, this is where we hit because he was driving erratically and he slammed on his brakes. And to avoid hitting him again, I turned this way. And that's how the damage occurred on that side of the car.
Okay, so what you're saying is he cut you off.
Yes.
You had to get back into a driving lane.
Yes.
Ultimately, he let you back in the driving lane, but then slammed on his brakes, causing you to swerve.
Yes.
And that's how the back of his car and the front of your car were damaged.
Correct.
Okay, fine. I will hear you.
Okay, it started with the bus stop. There was actually another car in front of me. The first car proceeded to go around the bus, made it around. I looked, there was nobody behind me. I proceeded into this lane. I was all the way up here, and all of a sudden I heard a series of honking. She was in a hurry to get somewhere, and I just wasn't going fast enough for her. I looked into my rearview mirror. She's on the cell phone, driving, honking her horn, and then she proceeds to go on my driver's side to pass me. She must have thought that was another lane, because it widens out there for about 50 feet, and then it closes out real quick, and it goes right back into the two lanes. And she proceeded to pass me, Your Honor. She was all the way up as far as my back door on my driver's side. And as soon as I seen that, I started to slow down to let her proceed so she could proceed to pass, but she couldn't do it because there's oncoming traffic coming. So then she stopped, just tried to swing back around to get back behind me. And I feel that it was all her fault. She was on the cell phone. If she wasn't talking on that cell phone, maybe she could have used that other hand to flip the blinker and switch into the lane that was completely open.
Okay. Now, you had some damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of damage did you have to your car?
Do you want to see pictures? Mm-hmm. I have two different estimates. The pictures are on the back of each page of the estimate.
What happened when the police arrived?
One officer talked to me, and I told him the story, and basically he wrote out the report, and that was it. He said that he attempted to contact my witness.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? You were cited for an improper lane usage.
I didn't commit it. It was found non-committed.
Did you have a hearing with regard to that?
Yes, with extenuating circumstances. My witness was there to attend as well.
What is your name, sir?
Sonny Shaver.
Stand up, please. Do you know the plaintiff?
I never met her till that day.
You were driving on the 3rd of February?
I was the oncoming traffic, Your Honor.
Show me where your car was.
I was here. This island stops and, like he said, becomes 2 double yellow lines that narrow down back to a 4-lane street. When I saw him, she was behind him. He went about halfway into this lane with half his car. Then all of a sudden he came back and she dived to the left to avoid him, and I thought, going to get hit head on here. She slammed on the brakes then and cut it to the left. He cut it to the left across the double yellow line and stopped, and she hit him. So I drove around the block and said, I'll be a witness for you.
And you gave her your name?
Gave her my business card.
And you did come down with her to testify on her behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
It was very nice of you.
Well, I saw she rear-ended him, and that's almost always automatically her fault, and I felt it wasn't, so.
And you and Miss Pinchuk didn't know each other?
No, ma'am.
That's totally false. I had no reason to turn. I was a mile down my road. She was reckless driving. I was trying to avoid her.
Well, I'm looking at you, Mr. Azure, because Mr. Shaver doesn't know the plaintiff, right?
I can't tell you.
And when you stopped, did you see Mr. Shaver there that day?
No, he was not there.
Did you see him?
He was yelling at me, some foul things.
No.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Nope. He told me, you can't frickin' stop in the middle of the road. And
So, just a second, Mr. Azure. Mr. Azure. Shh. Mr. Azure, you just said you didn't see him there that day.
Well,
how could you tell me that you didn't see him there that day, and then 2 seconds later tell me what he was yelling at you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not believe that it was him. There was a guy there.
Listen to me. That was him. He
Was
didn't
it?
Yeah, it was him.
No, there was a guy that didn't want to wait for the police officers.
Listen to me. It was him.
And later today,
He didn't steal the car keys. He didn't grab them out of her pocket. She was drunk. He was drunk. They're just lucky they're not dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Pinchuk says fellow motorist Charles Azure owes for an accident caused by his reckless driving. Charles claims the accident was Bobby's fault.
All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, Mr. Azure. I'll hear you.
There was a blonde-haired gentleman. I do not believe that it was him. There was a guy there.
Listen to me. That was him. He
Was
didn't.
it?
Yeah, it was him.
No, there was a guy that didn't want to wait
Listen
for
to
the
me.
police officers.
Listen to me.
And he took off.
Listen to me. It was him. Let's just get to
I
your
never talked to him.
counterclaim, sir.
Okay. After this accident, I just had surgery on my knee, and I'm in criminal justice at the Spokane Community College. I have no reason to jeopardize my career. My knee went into the dashboard, and it swelled up my knee. I got the doctor report, and I took it to my instructors at school, and they put me on hold. They ended up giving me a Z grade.
What does that have to do with this accident?
Because my knee swollen, because I got injured in there, and I couldn't pursue my criminal justice. They put me on hold. They said I had to get doctors. I can't get released from the doctors. I've had 4 surgeries on my knee, Your Honor, and...
Did you have any surgeries on your knee after this incident, sir?
No, I had it August 29th, 04.
The last one was
The last
in
one
August.
was
The last one was in
10/29/04.
August. Okay. Well,
Just
maybe
like
you're in
4
the-
months prior to this
Maybe
accident.
you're in the wrong, you're pursuing the wrong career, sir.
I'm not going as a police officer. We're opening a bail bonds company, and we're going to pursue that.
You're going to be a bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All right, Mr. Azure. Are you going back to school for
They
criminal
let me
justice?
back in. I just had my appointment with the dean on May 5th, and they said I can go back in
I'm very
in September.
Glad. Okay. Who is this person?
This is my wife, Joni.
What does she have to do with this case?
She's the one that took me to the hospital, saw my knee, how it swelled. I had to be in a neck brace. I had to wear my splint again. I had to use crutches.
Just for my own information, sir, did you speak to an attorney about these injuries?
Yes, I did.
And did the attorney take your case against
No,
Ms.
he
Pinchuk?
didn't. Because he said I had a pre-existing knee injury.
That plus a couple of other things, Mr. Azure. One of the things that would be death to your case is this gentleman right over here. Because he's known as an independent witness. He is absolutely correct when he says that when someone rear-ends someone else in their car, unless there are really extenuating circumstances, it's always your fault. Those are the facts. You understand that, Mr. Asher?
Yes, her insurance...
Unless, Mr. Asher, you have an independent witness who says that you were driving recklessly. That's what he says. And he's got no axe to grind. He took a couple of days off from work. He actually came back to a scene of an accident where most people would just keep going.
I never seen him, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you just heard him. And there is no question in my mind. Listen to me, I'm speaking.
Okay.
There's no question in my mind that he was there. There's no question in my mind that he chose to come back to the scene of the accident because he was concerned that Miss Pinchuk would be blamed for the accident because it was a rear-end hit. He took the time after she contacted him to go down and testify before the administrative law judge at the hearing regarding the ticket. The ticket was dismissed, as is your counterclaim, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of damage to the car, $1,400. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She found that I was at fault, but I just don't feel that I was.
It was his fault. He knows it was his fault, and that's what he gets for trying to lie.
She was totally out of control, calling me every name in the book.
At the point where he realized that I was cussing him out and I was honking my horn, I need to get back over, that's when he got mad.
On her cell phone, driving right behind me, she was so close to my bumper, I could see the whites of her eyes.
Cell phone doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm a multitasker. I'm excellent.
Whatever.
Don't be mad because you lost.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spandy versus Gretha, step forward, please.
Computer operator Tim Spandy is suing his daughter's former friend, 18-year-old event coordinator Tom Grether, for wrecking his wife's car. Tom says he was driving because Tim's daughter was drunk.
Mr. Spandy, this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Your daughter was driving your car?
No, she wasn't.
Whose car was she using?
It was my wife's car.
So your daughter was driving your wife's car with your permission. She goes to a party or some sort of gathering, and this young man was there. She got too drunk to drive home. She asked him to drive home. He was also drunk.
That's
he
correct.
totaled the car. You want him to pay for the car.
Yes, that's correct, ma'am.
And Mr. Grether says, well, he has certain responsibility. He doesn't have total responsibility. Your daughter has partial responsibility. Okay. When was this party?
February 13th.
At a house?
Yeah.
Did you know Mr. Grether before the party?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How much did you drink?
I think I had like 4 cups of beer.
Why did you drink if you were driving?
I was planning on staying over.
So why didn't you stay over?
Because there's some drama about missing pieces, and then all of
Missing pieces? What?
Bongs.
What is that?
Stuff you smoke marijuana out of.
Oh. There was drama about some drugs.
Yeah.
What kind of drama was there about drugs?
One kid accused one of Tom's friends of stealing piece.
So there was some drama, so you wanted to go home?
Well, because all of Tom's friends were leaving, and Tom invited us to the party. We didn't know the people whose house it was at, so we all decided to leave and go back to Tom's.
And you were too drunk to drive?
Yeah.
So you really didn't have good judgment?
Yeah.
What about Tom?
Well, my friends said they gave him a drunk test and see if he could walk a line and if he had slurred speech, and he said he stopped drinking 2 hours before that.
So you had your friends, your drunken friends, give him an alcohol sobriety test. Is that what you're telling me, Miss Spandy?
Yes.
And your slightly inebriated friends told you that he was sufficiently sober to drive your mother's car?
Yeah.
Tell me how you totaled her mother's car.
We were driving down a dirt and gravel road, and the car had spun out, and we had crashed into a tree.
All right, now we'll hear you.
Yeah. Before we started driving, he decided to whip a donut in a cul-de-sac, which was a dirt road. And I'm like, Tom, you need to stop. And he was like, okay, I used to drive a Ford Contour, I have total control. And so then he stops, and then he was like, hey, look at this. And I saw his hand reaching for the emergency brake, but I don't really know if he pulled it or whatever. It just happened too fast. We lost control, and then we ran into a tree.
I was only kidding. I actually never got grasped with the emergency brake. 3 other vehicles ahead of me had spun out at the exact same spot that I had spoke with afterwards. They were all driving
What I don't
SUVs.
understand, Mr. Spandy, is why you think your daughter is not at least partially responsible for what happened that night.
Well, for one thing, the defendant here, he was driving with a suspended license. He knew he was not supposed to be behind the driver's wheel at all.
He was drunk. Put your hand down. They were all drinking and doing marijuana.
I understand that.
Mr. Spandy, your daughter took her mother's car and acted irresponsibly with it. She drank. She was probably smoking marijuana. She gave the car to somebody who was given a field sobriety test by a bunch of other teenage alcoholics. And you think she bears no responsibility?
Well, he should have known right from wrong. I mean...
He was wrong. There's no question he was wrong. You don't take your mother's car and then drink.
I agree.
And you don't take your mother's car and then drink and do bongs or whatever they are. What you do is, if you think that you're going to drink, you say, Dad, would you drive me to the party and pick me up? Or if you don't intend to drink and then you go to the party and you drink, you say, give me the phone, I'm going to call my father to come pick me up. She could have done that too, right?
Yes, and that's what she's been instructed to do.
But you mean before this incident, you told her, if you drink, call us, we'll come pick you up, right? So she did the wrong thing.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking you, Mr. Spandy. I'm not saying that Mr. Grether here is going to get off scot-free. But what I'm telling you is your daughter bears some responsibility for what happened that night.
I agree. I mean, she was in the wrong, but for somebody of his age, a little bit older, selling alcohol and all that other stuff
Just a
going
second.
on that...
How old is your daughter?
17.
And how old are you?
I'll be 19 in a few weeks.
Listen, she's 17, he's 18. You know how much longer it takes a boy to mature than it takes a girl to mature?
Yes.
I just want you to take a look at him. Take a look at him. You'll understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, I understand completely.
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
All right. So don't tell me that he's so much older and is selling liquor. She's 17 years old. She shouldn't be drinking 5 beers, right?
I understand that.
Bad judgment.
Yes, very.
And if you start...
May I please add on the...
Don't say anything.
Sorry.
All right. Start with this premise, Mr. Spandy. But for the fact that your daughter did the wrong thing, you would not be standing here today.
Correct.
She did the wrong thing 3 times. She took the car. She drank.
Yes.
Instead of calling you to come pick her up, she gave the car keys to him. But for her actions, he, who's not any older than she is, would not have control of the car. He didn't steal the car keys. He didn't grab them out of her pocket. She was drunk. He was drunk. They're just lucky they're not dead.
Yes.
So the car was totaled.
Yes.
Did you have insurance?
I only had liability, no collision, so the insurance company would not pay for it.
When did you purchase the car?
I purchased it 8/25/04.
And how much did you pay for it?
We paid a little over $4,300. Other charges incurred that night was towing fee and pound lot, and that was over $200.
So you paid $43 plus another $2.
Yes.
Half $4,500 is $2,250. $2,250 is his responsibility. The other $2,250 is your daughter's responsibility. I suggest that you see to it that she takes care of it.
Oh, she's already taken care of the other car we have purchased.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I take some of the responsibility. I mean, I made a wrong decision. I should not have been driving.
I fully agree with her that they both were at fault.
I'm happy with it. At least I guess we got some money out of it to help pay.
She chose to drive to a party knowing that there was liquor.
Everything happened just so quickly.
The police were involved.
I was just hysterical. I couldn't, control myself.
I made a phone call to her father, apologized for what had happened, and offered to make up some type of payment plan. He refused the payment plan and told me that he wanted it all in one sum.
You know, making up payment plans would not go over well because you skip a payment here, skip a payment there, so I just thought one lump sum would be better.
I'm just glad that things turned out this way and that Judge Judy saw my side of it.
Brenda Jones is suing her ex-boyfriend, Thomas Moses Jr., for bail money and a loan for attorney fees. Brenda says Thomas was arrested for allegedly assaulting his wife.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 220 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Moses. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Jones, you and Mr. Moses were in a relationship for a brief period of time, and according to your complaint, you made 2 loans to him.
That's correct.
One involved some criminal restitution, and the other was a loan for an attorney so that he could start divorce proceedings. I assume that this is your wife.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are currently reconciled with your wife, and according to you, Miss Jones did not make loans to you. These were acts of generosity on her part, and there was no expectation that she was going to be repaid. Is that right, Mr. Moses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you leave your wife?
I left my wife November 22nd,
2005.
04.
04. But I would watch myself on the 22nd of November. And when did you meet Miss Jones?
Met Miss Jones January the 2nd.
January the 3rd.
Where?
I actually met her off the chat line.
So you started to communicate with each other on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
That is not true.
Where did you meet?
My car was broke down when I was coming out of the tanning bed at a strip mall, and he was coming out of a little place called Deals. And I asked him, would he give me a boost? He said, yes, I don't have jumper cables. I said, I do. And he asked me, was I married? I said, no. Are you married? He said, no. And it kind of
So
took
that's
off.
how you met?
That's how we met.
And then you started to communicate on the internet?
No, we started communicating on the telephone.
Is that right?
Telephone come from the chat line, yes. And we actually met. That was our meeting place at Deals parking lot.
Did you first meet her at Deals parking lot, Mr. Moses, when she asked you for a jumper?
I met her there, but I talked to her on the chat line.
Before?
Before.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you start speaking to her on the chat line?
Probably December 30th.
That is not true.
So you're telling me 3 days later you met her at Deals?
That's when she wanted to meet.
Right, it's interesting. Okay. Now, when was the first time, Miss Jones, you gave him money?
It was February the 23rd. I got a phone call in the middle of the night from he and his daughter on a two-way call stating he'd been arrested falsely for beating his wife up and wanted to know, could I come and bond him out?
Now, you had been dating between the 3rd of January and February 23rd?
Yes.
How much did he need to bail him out?
Initially, it was $10,000, so I needed $1,000. So I went to the bank and drew the money out. And when I got to the bondsman, they cut him some type of deal, and it was $837.
Well, you have to tell me about the conversation that you had. What did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
On that particular night at midnight, he asked if I indeed would come and bail him out. He would be able to pay me that Friday. I believe that was on a Sunday. And he makes pretty good money, and, you know, so I knew he could afford to give the whole $837 or a whole $1,000. I thought it was going to be $1,000 at that point.
Did he say, I'll give you the money on Friday?
Friday, yes.
Did he give you the money on Friday?
He said he was having some financial problems. He could give me half of it. He gave me $400.
Did you give her $400, Mr. Moses?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the $400 for?
It's for getting me out of jail.
So you acknowledge that this was a loan?
It wasn't a loan. I just told her I would give her $400 back. I mean, I appreciate it. It was my appreciation to her for getting me out. I mean, I just met her, you know, and it was nice of her to get me out of jail.
Just a second. When did you give her the $400?
That Friday, the following Friday.
Just a second. So you called her from jail and you said, could you bond me out? You didn't say anything to her about giving you back money on Friday.
No, ma'am.
It just happens to be that on that Friday you gave her $400.
Yeah, out of generosity, because she was generous enough to get me out of jail, so I told her I'd give her what I could Friday, and I could give her $400.
Oh, now your story's changed, Mr. Moses.
No.
Now you said that you told her you'd give her what you could on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, that's different from not saying anything to saying, I told her I'd give her what I could. And what you could give her on Friday was $400. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the next time Mr. Moses needed money?
It was about 4 weeks later. He told me he had a...
Just a minute. Between that Friday and 4 weeks later, you mean he didn't give you any more money?
He gave me $150, $50 increments.
When?
Actually, the first payment was $517.
No. Just answer my questions. Now you say that he gave you money in $50 increments, another $150. Was that over the next 4 weeks?
No. There was no money exchanged between the initial loan and the second loan.
That's what I want to know. So tell me what happened 4 weeks later.
Well, when I met him, he told me he was not married, okay? Or make that clear. Then I find out that he's got a lawyer that he's dealing with. It's no count, okay? So he says he's not helping him. He's not helping him to get his kids. His wife is not taking care of the children. He needed his kids desperately. And he knew I had some money saved up, okay? That's my first probably major mistake. And he asked me if I would help him get this new lawyer, put the $1,000 retainer fee. Once his divorce was final, his kids was in his home and they were stable. His financial situation was stabilized. Everything would be on target and he would be able to...
The check's in the mail.
Right.
So you gave him $1,000?
I wrote the $1,000 to the lawyer.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am. She had pushed me into divorcing my...
Well, explain that to me. How did she do that?
Well, first of all, I never lied to you about being married. I told her I was married and had 4 children and I was going to get a divorce. That was my goal, to get a divorce.
You were going to get a divorce because your wife was a very nice person?
I was going to get a divorce because we had some marital problems.
Well, some marital problems doesn't always talk about divorce, Mr. Moses. Did you actually come here thinking that you were going to run circles in this courtroom?
No, ma'am.
So you told Miss Jones that your wife wasn't caring for the children?
I did.
That you needed to get custody of your children?
I did. I needed them.
Because your children were at risk with your wife because she wasn't taking care of them?
My mother was watching them, actually, at my mother's house.
No, they were running back to...
My mother was watching them at...
Were they watching them because your wife has problems?
She was watching them because my wife was, yeah, she had problems.
Put your hand down. What kind of problems did your wife have?
She just had, like,
No, look at my face.
Oh.
What kind of problems did your wife have, Mr. Moses?
She had boyfriend problems. I mean...
Drug.
Did you tell the plaintiff that your wife had a drug problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Karnak.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How did your daughter find out you were in jail?
I called.
And did you say to your daughter, call Miss Jones?
No, I did not.
Baloney!
And later today...
I guarantee you, at their stage in life, they didn't anticipate taking care of 2 infants, because not only did you make 1 mistake, but you couldn't keep your thing in your pants long enough not to make 2 mistakes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brenda Jones says ex-boyfriend Thomas Moses Jr. owes for bail money and a loan to retain an attorney. Brenda claims Thomas lied about being married.
Now, you told Miss Jones that your wife couldn't take care of your children because she was abusing drugs and she had boyfriends, and you needed to get custody of your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how does that translate, Mr. Moses, into she was pushing me to get a divorce from my wife?
Because she kept on me and telling me that she loved me and she wanted me to get divorced from my wife, and she would help me get my children and we could live together, and she kept forcing me to get a divorce.
Forcing you?
I didn't want a divorce.
What did you want? What did you want?
I wasn't clear about what I wanted at the time.
I have a feeling, how old are you?
I'm 44.
That is persistent state of your mind.
Absolutely.
Unclear.
Okay.
Now, you went back to your wife when, sir?
Went back to my wife on, I don't know.
Give me a month.
July the 22nd, just when I got a phone call from the wife.
7/22. Now, when you went back to your wife, sir, did your wife enter a drug rehabilitation program?
No, ma'am.
Then she's still using drugs.
No, ma'am.
Well, if one of the reasons you were having marital difficulties, sir, is because your wife was a drug abuser, and if she didn't enter a program, then she's still using drugs, unless you were lying to the plaintiff when you told her that your wife was a drug abuser. So which one is it? Were you lying to the plaintiff, or was your wife still abusing drugs?
She is not abusing drugs now. She's changed, or for whatever reason, I guess.
Miraculously. What kind of drugs was she abusing, sir?
Just marijuana and stuff.
No, what kind of stuff? Marijuana and what kind of stuff?
And, hydrocodone.
And what?
Hydrocodone.
What is that?
Lortabs.
Lortab.
What is that?
He told me some type of nerve pill.
It's a pain pill because she has lupus and she has a bunch of stuff wrong with her.
So she's not taking those pills anymore? She's not using marijuana anymore? Is that what you're telling me?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
So how come you decided to go home, sir?
For my kids, because things wasn't happening fast enough for me.
So you're home taking care of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you gave her $50 increments 3 times after the loan to the lawyer. What was that for?
It was for the jail.
It was for the jail.
For the get me out of jail.
So you were just being a nice guy then? That wasn't a loan?
It was never a loan. I never asked Miss Jones to get me out of jail.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
Yes, you did. You asked her to get you out of jail because otherwise she wouldn't have known that you were in jail, sir.
No, my daughter called her.
How old is your daughter?
18.
How did your daughter find out you were in jail?
I called. I called my house because my house.
You called your house and you spoke to your daughter. And did you say to your daughter, call Miss Jones?
No, I did not.
Baloney!
I did not.
Listen, what's your first name?
Tommy. Thomas.
Slick Tommy, let me explain something to you. You don't take advantage of people and then just walk away. You clean up after your mess. You made a mess, you clean up after it. Bad enough that you involved this woman in your muddled mind, your 44-year-old bouillabaisse that you got going up there. But to take her money is unconscionable, sir. Unconscionable. You owe her $1,287. That's the remainder on the bail and the $1,000 for the lawyer that you, for some reason, decided that you didn't need because your children needed you, which is a very nice thing. You decided to go back to your wife for your children's sake. Very nice. I would suggest to you that it doesn't serve your children well if your wife is abusing drugs to live with her. And if your wife isn't abusing drugs, then you told this lady a fib. Because unless somebody gets into a program, if they are drug abusers, they don't stop. Goodbye. $1,287 is what you owe her.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She really didn't give me a chance to talk like I wanted to talk.
She knows a piece of you know what when she sees one.
She still calls me all the time and tries to get me to meet her places.
She just saw it go.
I should have never left my wife.
He took advantage of me, took advantage of my heart, and you know, that's the most harmful thing, I think.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Thompson versus Frost. Step forward, please.
Tracy and Steve Thompson are suing Tracy's son, 22-year-old Terry Frost, for a loan to buy a motorcycle, bail money, and impound fees.
Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, this young man is your son?
Correct, my son.
Your stepson?
Yes, ma'am.
I gather you feel he's been a little bit irresponsible.
A lot, yes.
You co-signed for a motorcycle for him a couple of years ago.
Correct.
He stopped making payments on the motorcycle.
Correct.
You took it into your custody. You have the motorcycle.
Correct. It was going to be repoed.
So you made all the payments on it so far?
Correct. When the bank called in regards to being repoed, our credit would be, you know, in bad
jeopardy?
order. Exactly. And so I asked TJ, you know, why aren't you making payments? So then he said at tax time he'd be able to make up what I've already paid and take over payments at that time.
But he didn't?
Correct.
Oh, so now you took a motorcycle back over a year ago?
04, correct. It's been sitting in my backyard.
Okay. Who has the title to it?
I actually got the title. I got it last month. It's actually in his
Great.
name.
Great.
I have pictures of the bike, too, if you'd like to see it.
I assume you've kept it in good condition?
No, he actually didn't. He laid it down, and then it's like all dismantled, and apparently he blew out second gear. I don't know what all damage is to it, but...
Okay. Have him sign this over to them, please.
Your Honor, I really don't want the bike.
Then you shouldn't have signed for him. You shouldn't have taken it back over a year ago. When you took it back over a year ago, madam, what you should have done is gotten it, sued him, and come to court immediately. You know, now what you have to do is you have to sell it, and if there is any shortfall between that and what you owe on the bike, you may be able to sue him again. But right now, you have to take the bike and you have to sell it. Now let's talk about the bail. You bailed him out, again, over a year ago.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
He called one night. He had gotten a DUI, and I went down the next morning and bailed him out of jail.
When was that?
Late of 03.
In 2003?
Yes.
So 2 years ago.
Yes.
When did you co-sign for this bike?
In 2002.
And what was he driving in when he had a DUI?
Another car of his.
Did you call them?
Yes.
Did you tell them you were going to pay him back for the bail?
I just asked him to bail me out of jail.
And they did?
Yeah.
Were you working?
No.
How'd you expect him to pay you back?
Whenever he got a job.
There are loans, and then there are what we call great expectations. I would assume that when he called you and said, I'm in jail, come and get me out, you said, I'll be right down. Right?
Not quite, but
What did you say to him?
I reluctantly went down.
Right. Because you love her.
No, actually, I was not going to bail him out because that was
Oh,
his
that would have been very
second time
smart.
out.
I wouldn't have bailed him out.
Well, and then he
Maybe,
felt sorry for him.
And this
then
was in
he bailed him out.
2003. How old are your children?
2 and 8 months.
Oh, at least he might not have had one. He makes a lot of bad choices.
Correct.
Isn't that right, sir?
I guess, yeah.
What do you mean you guess? How old are you?
22.
You're 22 and you have 2 children.
Yep.
And how old is the mother of these children?
21.
And where does she live?
With her mom.
And where do you live?
With my aunt.
That sounds like a wonderful family. Now, you hesitated for a moment, Mr. Frost, when I said you've made some bad choices. Let me explain to you what you've done. In your short period of time, you've probably screwed up their credit. Are they rich people?
No.
Well, you stuck them with a motorcycle loan, right?
Right.
You stuck them with your bail, right? You stuck perfect strangers with taking care of 2 babies. That's your girlfriend's parents that she's living with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I guarantee you at their stage in life, they didn't anticipate taking care of 2 infants. Because not only did you make 1 mistake, but you couldn't keep your thing in your pants long enough not to make 2 mistakes. And you say to me, you have a question as to whether or not you made mistakes?
Yeah.
You have a question?
No.
So you could have avoided the whole thing by saying, you know, I was a dumb kid.
Okay.
Dumb kids make dumb kid mistakes. They don't make babies.
Right.
Not 2. Who do you work for now? That's not a question that requires a lot of thought. You have 2 babies.
For Thompson Tile Maintenance.
You work full-time or part-time?
Part-time, and I go to school full-time.
Where do you go to school full-time?
Davenport University.
What kind of school?
I'm going for medical.
You want to be a doctor?
Not a doctor. A nurse.
Thank God. Do you see your grandchildren?
I do now. There was a period that with this loan, I didn't see him for about 7 months or something like that. And then he had his second baby, and I ended up going to the hospital and seeing the baby. And, you know, he has since told me, you know, him and his fiance are paying off her parents some money. And I think he owes me this money for this bike because I don't want this bike. I want him to pay me for this bike because I didn't want the bike
I think that morally he should do that.
Yes.
I just told you the legal result of what's going to happen here today.
Right.
If your son chooses to take the moral high road, that's up to him. You paying the maternal grandparents of your children some money?
I'm not. My fiance is.
For what?
I don't know, whatever they loaned her.
What do you spend your money on?
He gives
Baby
it
stuff.
to her.
Well, that's good.
Right. No, I agree.
That's
She's
good.
a
That's
blessing.
fine.
She's a blessing.
That's fine. Somebody's got to support these babies.
She's a blessing. She keeps things straight.
So you give her money?
Yeah.
How much?
My whole check.
And what do you give to your aunt?
Nothing.
Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, put a lock on your checkbook.
Right.
Yes,
Done
ma'am.
did.
Good. Goodbye.
I just don't excuse. You may step out.
When you owe people money, you've got to pay them back. It's an integrity.
I do feel I owe her money. And I plan on giving them money.
It's drove a little wedge in between them.
Maybe a couple years of just getting over it.
Yeah, right.
Motivational speaker Carolyn Boone is suing her former lover, Pepe Hibbert, for money loaned and storage fees. Carolyn says Pepe conned her.
That's case number 181 on the calendar, the matter of Boone versus Hibbert. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Boone, you claim that Mr. Hibbert owes you for a series of loans that you made to him in order to help him relocate to another city. In addition, he stored his car or truck or SUV in your home, and you want him to pay storage fees for that. Okay. So you met, and at some point, he asked you out. You went out for dinner, you went out for a movie, you went out for a drink, you went out for something, or did he just initially ask you for money?
No, it was a 3-day period, kind of a whirlwind romance, if you would. The way he got to my house was by telling me that he was interested in buying one of my cars that I had for sale, that he wanted to come see it. He also said he was a licensed mechanic and could check out this car I was test driving. He tried to get me to go out with him that night.
You're talking too fast.
Okay.
I'm not interested in the social aspect,
okay,
madam.
right.
I'm interested. You met him on January 6th, when for the first time did he ask you for money?
3 days later, he informed me that the next day he would be moving to the state of Georgia to go to seminary. He said he needed money to get to seminary, that it was a big move, it was a long way away. And I asked him how much. He said $2,000 or $3,000. So I told him that I would be able to loan him too. Normally, I don't walk around with that kind of cash, but I had just cashed a check from a sale of a business that my family owned.
Had you told him about that?
I had showed him a cashier's check for $17,500 from me to me.
Oh, Miss Boone,
I know.
what a mistake.
Yeah, I learned you don't do that.
How much money did you give him?
I gave him $2,000 in cash that day. The next day he said he...
Your Honor, the fact of the matter is...
Don't tell me what the fact, just tell me about the $2,000.
Miss Boone wanted to get into a relationship with me from day one.
Good. Let's start day one, January 9th. You took $2,000 from her, is that correct?
She gave me the money as a down payment on my vehicle.
Down?
No.
Oh, shh, shh, shh. Just a second. Just a second. Shh. Just a second. She gave you $2,000 as a down payment on the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
How? Don't say anything, Miss Boone. How much was the total price of the car?
I told her that I was selling the car for $6,500.
I'm going to ask you questions, so you're going to have to be really quick with your answers.
No problem.
Mr. Hibbert,
No
I want to tell you
problem,
something.
Your
You think you're smart? Between him and me? Between him and me? You're a kindergartner. I want you to trust me on that. And you don't want to appear foolish here, do you, Mr. Hibbert?
No, Your Honor.
Now, what kind of car was it that you were going to sell her for $6,500?
A 1994 black BMW 325 IS, Your Honor.
Salad free bill.
Shh! Now, so she gave you $2,000 down payment.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she ever purchase the car?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
So you never gave her title to the car?
I let her hold the title in good faith. I did not sign the back, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have the title back?
She didn't want to give it to me back, Your Honor.
Do you have the car?
No, Your Honor.
Where's the car?
I sold it, Your Honor.
How much did you sell the car for and to whom?
$5,000, Your Honor.
To whom?
To...
You're making it up as you're going along, Mr. Hibbert.
No, Your Honor, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's an individual in Atlanta, Georgia that I sold the vehicle to.
Name?
Her name is,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know
He
it.
doesn't get it.
I don't know it.
Right,
You told him.
Right, I told him.
You told him.
I told him. Who are you ministering to, Mr. Hibbert? I want to know who you're ministering to, sir.
Who am I ministering to?
Yes, you're a minister, aren't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to know who you're ministering to.
Currently, no one, Your Honor.
That's a very good thing, Mr. Hibbert. That's very, very good. Because the truth will set you free, Mr. Hibbert.
Amen. Yes,
Why
Lord.
didn't you give her back her $2,000?
I called her up and told her I would give her $2,000 back.
Oh, here we go. Good.
She said, I don't owe her $2,000, I owe her $4,300. And she maliciously went to the church that's endorsing me.
I don't care whether she went to a church or not.
And they pulled my endorsement, and that's the reason why I called her.
Oh, just a minute. You mean she went to your church and said he's got my $2,000?
No,
and
that's not all she said, Your Honor. She said that I did sexual misconduct to her. She said that I took her $4,300 from her, and she said that I trespassed on her property.
You're not supposed to take advantage of people, Mr. Hibbert, if you want to be a minister.
I'm not taking advantage of anyone.
Because in January, you should have sent her back her $2,000. In February, you should have sent her back her $2,000. You took her $2,000. Isn't that right?
I loaned him more than that, and it wasn't
Just a second. Listen, did you hear what I said to him?
Yes.
About giving me an upfront?
Yes.
All right. Did you have a discussion with him about buying his BMW?
No, I've always driven hand-me-down Cadillacs that my father would give. I'm a Cadillac person. And I have a 2002 Cadillac that I'm buying right now. Okay. I loaned it to him to move to seminary.
Whether it was a loan or whether it was a down payment on a car that he never came through with, he owes you the $2,000, right?
Your Honor, when you go to a car dealership and you put a down payment on a vehicle and you do not continue to make payments, what happens, Your Honor?
You took the car.
They come and take the car from
No,
you, and you
took
out
the
of your
car.
money.
You took the car
Yes,
to Georgia.
Your Honor, I did, and she knew this up front. She knew that that's what I was doing.
He doesn't owe you anything for storing his car in your carport.
Okay, he said he was going to get it in 1 week. He came back 4 months later to get it.
What I'm telling you is you could have gotten a tow truck to tow it out, send him a letter, say, if you don't get it out of here in 5 days, I'm getting rid of it. But that kind of favor does not turn into a contract just because you don't want the car. You don't want the car, they call the garbage man, let him take the car. You don't get storage fees. Do you understand?
I understand what
good.
you're saying.
Very good. Now, tell me what happened, sir, about this business where you were arrested for trespass.
Once I found out that she went to the church and told the pastor these felonious stories, I then went to North Carolina to get my truck. Now, once I was at the mechanic waiting for my vehicle, the police roll up and arrest me and take me to jail, saying that they have...
Can I see a copy of the complaint?
Yes,
Don't
Your
raise
Honor.
your hand, Miss Boone.
Right here, there's the warrant for arrest, and here's the court where they dismissed, gave me a not guilty charge on that, Your Honor.
That's not what it was about.
Okay. Date of the offense, it says here, was February 6th, 2005. What happened on February 6th, madam?
We had a big argument. I was telling him to leave. He would not leave. The only way I finally got him out was to say, okay, I'm leaving. We're both going to walk out. And we did.
I'm not getting the trespass, madam.
Okay. They informed me that the magistrate
Don't tell me what the magistrate...
Okay.
I'm asking you, what conduct of Mr. Hibbert's did you complain about to the police?
He was blocking my door, and it was pretty scary at the moment. It was making me anxious.
And then, listen to me, subsequently, the same night, you got back together again.
Yes.
Was there any other conduct by Mr. Hibbert after that, where you told him to leave, he was blocking the door and he didn't leave, that you reported to the police by way of the trespass?
No.
That was it?
Yes.
And when did you report that to the police?
The day that I filed the monetary charges, he was already in custody. And it was May 27th, I think.
Right.
Okay.
It was May 27th. So what you're telling me is you had this argument on February 6th, wherein you fought with him because he didn't come back. He was supposed to come back, and he blocked the door, and that was a trespass because you were told him to leave. You ultimately both left together, and then later that night you reconnected and got together.
Yes.
You didn't report that to the police February 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, the month of February.
Right.
Month of March, you didn't report it to the police. March, April, May, you didn't report it to... You reported to the police 4 months later. That's what you're telling me?
Yes.
You just lost your $2,000.
Well...
You just lost your $2,000, Miss Boone. I'm going to tell you why. Not because I think he deserves a break, but because when people abuse the justice system, I'm not talking about civil court. Civil court, you take him to. Civil court, he owes you $2,000. You take him to civil court. But when you bring out a detective to take a statement, you took the time of at least one policeman, you took the time of a magistrate, you took the time of a court, you took the time of court officers, clerks to draw up your papers. You took all that time because you felt as if he didn't do the right thing by you. And you were going to get him good.
No.
You weren't just going to get him for the $2,000. You were going to get him good because that's not a trespass, madam.
The magistrate advised me to do it, and it was...
Well, listen to me. That's baloney. That's baloney. I don't believe it. It's hearsay. What you did was vindictive, and I don't care if what you do is vindictive. I mean, you know, vindictive conduct, as far as I'm concerned, is somebody who really is an amoral person parading around as a preacher. That you can be as vindictive as you like. But when you abuse the justice system, that's something that I won't tolerate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
She told me, too bad, I've talked to an attorney and you're not getting any more than that.
She told me she wanted to take her dog to the vet weekly for the next 6 months, and she wanted me to pay for that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carolyn Boone says, former lover Peppy Hibbert owes for a loan and storage fees. Peppy is countersuing, claiming Carolyn had him falsely arrested for trespassing.
You weren't scared, madam, of him, frightened of what he was going to do between February 6th, when he blocked the door, and later that evening when you got back together. Now, when you say you got back together and reconnected, do you want to tell me what that means, Mr. Hibbert? Does that mean that you went out for dinner together? Does that mean you had a drink together? Does that mean that you were intimate together? What does that mean?
I've never been intimate with this lady.
Okay. What does it mean when you said to me you got back together?
We got a hotel room and stayed there.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, I do.
So what you're telling me is after you got a hotel room together, you decided to tell somebody in the justice system that he trespassed on your property on February 6th.
To her.
All right. Well, I'm not interested in it. You just lost your $2,000. Sir, and you just paid her $2,000 on your counterclaim. Do you understand? That means you get exactly what each of you deserve. Nothing. Goodbye. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's reaching for straws to try to get out of paying me the $4,300 that I loaned him.
I continually told her I wasn't interested in having a relationship with her.
He's trying to get me back. He's saying I ruined his career.
And then when she saw that I was standing strong to not wanting a relationship with her.
But it'll be brought to light, not here in this forum, but ultimately it will be brought to light.
She then decided, okay, let me maliciously try to ruin this man.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Crowther versus Moore. Step forward.
Shelby Crowther is suing her neighbor, 24-year-old Cody Moore, for vet bills. Shelby says Cody's 6-year-old son, Caden, threw her dog in the air and broke his leg.
According to your complaint, Miss Moore's little boy, this 6-year-old, was in your backyard where your dog was playing. He was invited over by your son, who is a couple of years older. How old are you?
8.
Stand up next to your mother. I have a few questions for you. Tell me your name.
My name's Cody.
Cody, do you know this little boy's name?
No.
What's your name?
Caden Moore. He does know my name.
Caden Moore.
Yeah, when we were at daycare.
Caden.
Okay. Is he your neighbor?
Yes.
Remember that day when your dog got injured?
Say yes.
You remember?
Yes.
You have to answer my questions. Were you playing in the backyard?
Yes.
Did you invite him to come over in your backyard? No. Did you offer him a lollipop?
Yes, but I put it through the fence.
Did you offer him a lollipop?
Yes.
And did he take the lollipop?
Yes.
Did he come around in your backyard?
No.
He was never in your backyard?
Yes, but...
How did he get there?
Climbed the fence.
And what happened when he got there?
He started playing for a little, then he picked him up and threw him up in the air and broke his leg.
What did you say to him when he did that?
Nothing.
What did you do?
I picked up Gizmo.
And where did he go?
My mom told him to go back home.
And he did. And you took your dog Gizmo to the doctor?
Correct.
And he had a broken leg?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you want Miss Moore to pay for the vet bills?
Correct.
I'm listening.
I did not become aware of the situation until she had come over to my house to let me know what was going on. I talked to my son, and he said that her son told him that if he'd climb the fence, that he would give him a sucker and they could play.
So he's over in the backyard?
Mm-hmm. And my son did say that he picked up the dog, that her son asked him to put the dog down, and my son did that. However, he did not throw her dog at all.
Well, how do you think the leg got broken?
I believe that he did drop her dog. A dog that weighs 4 pounds has a leg like a toothpick, so I'm sure it did break. That's, I believe that.
So either way, whether he dropped him or threw him.
I offered to pay the bills. I gave her my cell phone number. I asked her to please call me when the dog was done so that I knew what was going on. She's my new neighbor. I just moved in.
So what was the problem?
The problem started when she tried to press criminal charges on my child.
No, what
That's actually
happened?
in the police report that I have with me. She had told the police a completely fabricated story. The police
Well,
came...
what did you do after the dog? You took the dog to the vet?
After I picked the dog up, went in the house, and immediately went over to her house. My husband held the dog for me. I went over to her house and explained to her what had happened. She told me that's not possible. Her son was in his bedroom unpacking.
No,
I said that is not true. He was just in my backyard, and I told him to go home.
Okay, well, maybe she didn't know that.
We went into the backyard. He wasn't in there, so he was in the garage. And she asked him, and he said yes, he did pick the dog up and drop the dog.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, you're going to be responsible for these vet bills. I said, I don't have the money. She looked at me and said, well, I'm a single mom, so maybe it's best to put the dog to sleep and I will buy you a new one. I immediately looked at her and said, that's not how this works. This is my dog. I mean, he's my baby. We're not going to put him to sleep.
Did you go over there, Miss Crowther, angry?
No, I did not raise my voice at her.
You don't have to raise your voice.
I was upset. I was bawling.
Okay.
I was upset.
Okay. I mean, I can imagine that you were upset, and I can imagine that you were not calm when you spoke to her. You may not have been screaming at her. You may not have been cursing at her. I don't know. But I assume, based upon just the way you phrased it to me today, that you did not go over there in a neighborly-like way.
Right.
Well, that was wrong. This is not something that's done maliciously.
Right.
So then you should have taken it down a notch, right?
Right.
You owe her an apology.
I'm sorry if I upset you.
You should have taken it down a notch. She didn't do anything.
Right. I didn't become enraged until she told me to put my
just
dog
a second.
to sleep.
Enraged is a relative term. If you went over there and you say, gee, that was just a real bad accident, I think that your little boy was responsible for my dog's broken leg. Right. You know, I'm going to take the dog to the vet. You know, we're going to be able to handle this. That's one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is to go over there with screaming mimis on, you know, because your dog is injured. I got it. But I think, at least with her, you overreacted. She said she'd pay the vet bill. What's the vet bill?
Well, the problem is...
She said she'd pay the vet bill. What's the vet bill?
$364.25.
That's a hefty bill for her to pay, but if she said she would pay it, it's her responsibility, and she's going to take care of it. Did you call the police?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was informed that I had to have a police case number in order to file a civil claim in court.
Well, I don't know who's giving you legal advice. Certainly not any reputable person I know. You don't need a police report in order to file a small claims case.
I don't understand if I said I would pay it, why she would have to file a small claims case.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
She was only going to pay the initial bill. She told me she would not pay to have the cast removed. She flat told me, I'm only going to pay the $299. And I says, what about the remaining cost? She told me, too bad, I've talked to an attorney and you're not getting any more than that.
Actually, she told me she wanted to take her dog to the vet weekly for the next 6 months, and she wanted me to pay for that.
The vet required that he come in every week to have the cast looked at so that it didn't get infected or anything happen.
The whole bill was $364.25. Judgment for the plaintiff, $364.25. When you have a new neighbor, you try to handle things reasonably. She seems like a nice lady. Now you're at odds with each other and you share a backyard. That's terrible. And you have two kids who would probably play very nicely together. You know, they're two nice little boys. See if you can go have a cup of coffee together. It would probably be a very good idea. You're going to live there for a long time?
Plan to.
All right, so you got off to a bad start. See if you can make it better.
Okay.
You'll be happier. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She told me she was a single mom and there was not a lot she could do, and I feel bad for her.
I offered to pay the bill when it happened because I realized that accidents happen.
But if you're going to have children, you've got to be responsible for them.
He's a small child. I'm his mom. You pay for things.
I hope that we can be neighbors and our boys can play together.
I don't think that it will go home with us. At least I hope not.
Landlord Suzanne Brown is suing plumber Anthony Chance for harassment. Suzanne says when she refused Anthony's professional services, he became vindictive.
Yeah, this is case number 263 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Chance. Parties have been sworn in. Your Honor, you may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Brown, you own a building.
Yes, I do.
And one of your buildings had a leak. According to your complaint, you looked in the yellow pages and you found a plumber, the defendant, and asked him to go over and take a look and see what the problem was. So far, is that about right?
That's right.
He went over there and he called you and he told you what he thought the problem was and what it would take to fix it.
That's correct.
You paid him for his service call. You eventually found somebody else to fix the problem, paid him less money. And it is your claim that because Mr. Chance was angry that he didn't get the job, he harassed you in a vindictive way by going over and frightening your tenants, telling them that things were dangerous as a result of the shoddy workmanship that was being done in their building. Now, when did you have a leak in your building?
That was July 17th.
Who had a leak in their apartment?
Terry James.
Step up. Miss James, tell me what happened in your apartment on the 17th of July.
I had a leak by the bedroom window.
Near the bedroom window?
Yeah, down by the floor, by the baseboard.
Had it been raining that day?
Nope. But the lawn man had watered and watered and watered, and he had forgot to leave the water on.
So it was clear water that was coming through?
Yes.
And you called the landlord?
Yes.
All right, is that what brought you to the apartment, Mr. Chance?
No, it's not.
Well, what brought you to the apartment, sir?
Well, Suzanne Brown gave us a call on the 17th, and we went out to the property and did an inspection of the property. When we entered the tenant's unit, we found that the tub was full of sewage. There was about...
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Shh, just a second. The bathtub?
The bathtub
was full of sewage?
Was full of sewage.
Is that right?
No, not full of
sewage. Is that right?
That's a lie. That's a lie. There was no sewage in the tub at all. He wasn't even the man that came out. The man that came out, he ain't even here, I guess.
Really?
The man that came out walked around the house, went around to the front, got on the phone and called this man.
Did he come at that point?
No, he didn't. He never showed up. He showed
Not
up.
that day? No. Is that right, sir?
I was there on the 17th of July. I did not go in her unit. But
Just a minute. So you didn't go into her unit?
I did not.
So you didn't see anything in her unit on the 17th of July?
I saw sewage all around the perimeter of the outside of the building.
You did not go into her unit on the 17th?
I did not.
Good. Do you have a copy of the receipt that you got?
Yes, I do.
From his company?
He sent that to me.
Okay. They say that in the front unit, they have water standing in the tub. Someone has inserted the word sewer water standing in the tub in this. This is the way you received it?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when did you call somebody else? On what date?
I had actually called, there's a plumber that I always use. I had actually called him. The problem was that when I found out about the leak, it was a Sunday, and he wasn't available, and I wasn't sure how big it was, and I wanted to fix the issue.
Is this your regular plumber?
Yes.
Sit down. Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name's Mike Howard.
How long have you been working for the plaintiff?
Oh, probably since about '02.
You familiar with this unit?
Yes.
When did you go out to the unit?
The day after, the Monday.
Tell me what you found when you went out there on the 18th of July.
The water from the sprinklers had went over the foundation and entered the home.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Where had it entered the home?
It had came up over the foundation and ran into the area that was wet.
Carpeting wet?
Yes.
Around the baseboards?
Yes.
Did you find anything else wrong with the house?
The bathtub had about, I'd say about 1.5 inches of water in it that just wouldn't drain.
So the water that was standing in the tub was water that had been standing there because of a clogged drain?
Correct.
What did you use to clean out the drain?
Snake.
How much did you charge the plaintiff to do the whole job?
$2,500.
What did you charge her the $2,500 for?
We dug a place approximately 2 foot wide around the perimeter of the home. It was 90 foot long, and we poured concrete in there.
And what was that supposed to do?
It stopped the water from entering the home at the foundation.
You mean from the sprinkler system?
It was just a hose, but yeah.
What was the estimate that the defendant gave you to fix the problem?
The defendant told me it would be $45,000 for him to come in and dig out the entire concrete floor, and that my tenants would have to evacuate the premises. And the problem was that nobody had actually done any tests. The defendant never actually did any tests. All they did was walk the perimeter of the property, and actually he didn't even do that. He had someone else do that, and came to the conclusion that it would be $45,000, that I needed to call my insurance company and make sure that I had him there, because the insurance company might not believe me, and that all three of us could meet and he could convince them that this is what needed to be done and get them to pay for it.
Now, after you decided not to hire him and you decided to hire Mr. Howard?
Correct.
Tell me what you claim he did to harass you and your tenants.
Well, on that Monday, when he had gone out and he had started working on it, when I came back that night, I had received numerous calls from Terry James, and I had 2 messages from Tony Chance. The first one said, I tried to run your credit card for the $69 service charge, and either you gave me the wrong number or I wrote it down wrong, and you really need to give me a call as soon as possible, otherwise we're going to have problems. The second message I got said that, I still haven't heard from you. You must be avoiding me. And by the way, I happened to go out to the property today, and I saw that you had some repairs going on there, and I just want to let you know that that was a really bad move on your part, and that now I'm going to have to contact the Sacramento Housing Authority and let them know what's going on over there. I'm going to put a full written report together to turn you in. And so to me, it was obviously, he was vindictive. I couldn't believe the message that I got. I was completely freaked out, and Terry said that he had been by there.
Don't.
Okay.
Step up. You can sit down. Did Mr. Chance come back to the house?
Yes, he came back on Monday.
He spoke to you?
Yes, he did.
What did he say to you?
Oh, my God. What is this? You mean to tell me they put concrete around the house? The sewage problem is not done. The pipes is busted. You guys are going to die. You guys need to get out right now. You guys should vacate the place. You guys mean to tell me you're not out of there? And then he came back on Tuesday and scared my son. Had my son all upset. Talking about we should have been out of there. We going to die. We go to sleep. We going to die. We should have been moved out of there.
Okay. Since July 18th or 19th, have you had any other problems in your home?
No, I haven't.
Any other water?
Nothing's wrong.
Are you friendly with the other tenants?
Yes, I am. Very friendly.
Anybody else have any water problems that you know of?
Nobody has any problems on the property.
I guess you were wrong.
I don't think so, Your Honor.
I guess you were wrong.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I'm asking you, what tests did you personally do? Make sure you give me an answer that I'm going to be comfortable with, Mr. Chance.
And later today.
And it never dawned on you to take the rest of the money and give it back to them.
They didn't ask for it back.
Insurance isn't supposed to make you rich, madam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Landlord Suzanne Brown says plumber Anthony Chance harassed her and her tenants after she refused his professional services.
Did you write a report to any housing authority with regard to what you found?
No, I did not.
Ms. Brown says that that's what you threatened to do. Is that what you threatened to do, Mr. Chance?
I never threatened to do anything.
Did you indicate that that's what you were going to do?
No, I did not.
What did you say?
I said specifically that I had already called the health department due to the fact that there was still a dangerous issue out at her property.
When had you called the health department?
I called them Monday night when I drove by the property and saw that concrete had been poured over the top of the sewage on the outside of the building.
Mr. Chance, but you were wrong, sir, because we've had 5 months since you were there, and no problem.
They've taken care of the symptoms, but the problem still exists. And the problem with the property that they have there is the drains underneath the footing were leaking substantially and had been that way for a long time.
What tests did you do, specifically, what tests did you do on the 17th when you were there to test that?
I've got phone records with me showing that I was on my phone with my service tech who was on the job.
What tests did you do? Not your technician. If you call the health department, I would say that you don't rely on a technician. You go out there yourself before you make the call.
I did.
The very next day. So I'm asking you, what tests did you personally do? Make sure you give me an answer that I'm going to be comfortable with, Mr. Chance.
I personally didn't do any tests.
That's what I thought. Now, did you ever give Miss Brown a quote of $45,000 to fix the problem?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Did you ever say to Miss Brown that she should contact her insurance company?
I may have mentioned that, yes.
And that you should be there when the insurance company adjuster comes to look at the problem?
I advised her that that would be a good idea.
And are you telling me that you didn't give her a ballpark figure about what the problem would cost to rectify?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. I told her we needed to do tests to determine where the problem was at.
Oh, so if you're telling her you needed to do tests to determine where the problem was, why did you call the health department?
Well, we knew that there was a problem. We didn't know which bathroom was leaking or where the problem was at underneath the slab because the whole area underneath the house was saturated with sewage.
What made you think, sir, that the whole area under the house was saturated with sewage?
Because my technician went into the other unit, the back unit, and ran a sink for 20 minutes, and the water proceeded to come up in the carpets in the front bedroom of the front unit, which indicates a backed up sewer main.
And you think that that just happened once, sir?
I went by the job on Sunday night.
Yeah?
Because Suzanne had agreed to meet me there Sunday night.
Yeah?
And I was sitting in front of the property. I did not go in either of the units, but I saw the sewage around the perimeter of the building. I sat there for maybe 5 minutes, and then Suzanne called me and said, "I'm sorry, but something's come up. I can't meet you. I'll have to do it on Monday." So I left the property, but at that point, I was able to witness the wet sewage all the way around the outside footing, and it definitely was.
What made you think it was wet sewage, sir?
Based on the description that my technician gave me while he was in the home.
Mr. Chance, you want to know what I think, sir?
What?
I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that you were really annoyed with Miss Brown because she decided not to use you to fix this major problem and did you out of a really expensive job. Because he came out and said he ran a snake in the tub, the water went down, and she's had no more problems. 5 months later, your technician came out and did zippo. Nothing. Left the standing water in the bathtub and did nothing. What you did was you decided this was a big job. The entire foundation of this house had to be ripped up. Call your insurance company and let them know. All has to be redone. And then somebody else came and did it, and you were annoyed. And you didn't call the health department until after you were advised that she had gotten somebody else to fix what she perceived to be the problem or what she was told by a professional was the problem. That's vindictive, sir. What else?
I actually ended up filing a police report against him because I became scared. It's like he turned into this psycho plumber. And
he was just annoyed. It was a $45,000 job that went out the window because you got somebody with a snake to fix the problem.
Judy, could I have some evidence?
My friends call me by my first name. Now, what I don't understand, Mr. Chance, is I absolutely believe Mr. Howard when he says he went to the premises the next day, took a snake, put it in the bathtub, snaked out the bathtub, the water went down, and I absolutely believe Miss Jones when she says she has not had a problem since. What I don't understand is how come your technician went into the house, saw standing water, and didn't take a snake to try to get it to go down, yet went into another unit, a unit that they had not called to complain about, let the water run in that unit to come up with the story, instead of doing the first thing that I would do as a plumber and say, gee, I see this standing water. Let me see if I can get it to go down. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Chance?
I understand.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. You did the wrong thing. It's going to cost you.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a lie. The whole thing about the health department, he never called anybody because he knew he'd never done any tests.
I think that they tried to hide the real problem so that the health department wouldn't come out and create any problems with having to really repair the broken pipes underneath the slab.
I had spent $2,500 having the problem fixed. Obviously, I'm not a slumlord.
I'm positive that's what the problem was because that's what I saw.
I'm just happy. Very, very happy. Justice does we serve.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Freshley versus Velasquez. Step forward.
22-year-old Amy Freshley is suing former friend Herman Velasquez for rental car charges and for damages to the vehicle. Herman claims he owes Amy nothing.
Miss Freshley, you had an automobile accident.
Yes.
You knew the defendant, who was a mechanic, and you entered into an agreement with him that he would fix your car.
Right.
And according to you, your agreement was that the car would be ready in a week or 5 days. If it went over that, he was going to compensate you for the rental car.
Exactly.
Now, the car wasn't ready on time. He was supposed to pay for the additional days.
Right.
In addition to that, it is your claim that he took the rental car.
Exactly.
Which, for some reason, you left at his shop, drove it, and caused damage to it, and you were being charged by Enterprise Rental Car for the damage that you ascribed to him.
Exactly.
Okay. The car you were in an accident with was a 95 Tahoe?
Yes.
Is that your car?
Yes.
Alone?
Me and my boyfriend's car.
Who purchased it?
We both did.
You have insurance?
Yes.
Did the insurance pay for the accident?
Yes.
How much?
$4,045.
Who did they pay that to?
Paid it to me and my boyfriend.
Did you take the money?
I took the money and paid Herman $2,800.
They paid you $4,000 for something that he fixed for $2,800?
Yep.
And it never dawned on you to take the rest of the money and give it back to them?
They didn't ask for it back. They said they wouldn't pay for the rental, so I figured I'd use also some of that for a rental because I wouldn't have a car for a week.
Okay. So let us say he took the car, which you acknowledge. You took the car.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge that you had an accident with it or that you damaged it.
No.
But you acknowledge you took it.
Yeah.
So let's say $2,800 is what he charged you for the car.
Yes.
Plus you say that he should be responsible for another $340 for the additional days that the car was rented when he didn't have it fixed on time.
Yes.
Right? Plus $340. Plus $701 for damage to the car.
Yes.
That's $3,841. Did you have any other expenses by virtue of this accident that you had?
No.
Well, my calculations are that you're still ahead $200 from what you scammed out of the insurance company. You expect me to give you more money? What are you looking at me? Am I speaking some sort of a foreign language?
No, I just expected to be paid for a car that I rented, and he said he'd pay for the extra week.
You didn't pay for the extra week. Your insurance company did. Think of it this way. On what date did you have the accident? March 29th?
Yes.
March 29th. On March 29th, you started off with a car that was in good running order.
Yes.
Right? And zero in the bank. On April 15th, you had $4,045 in the bank from the insurance company.
Yes.
2 weeks later, you had your car back. You had rented a car, and you still have an extra $200 in your bank. Now, what you want me to do is give you the extra $200, plus you want him to pay you $1,100.
Yes, I would.
That means that at the end of this accident, you have your car
and an
extra $1,300. Insurance isn't supposed to make you rich, madam. It is supposed to compensate you for your damage.
But that wasn't the deal when I had rented.
The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is to be an honest insured. I'm speaking. The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is that if you had an accident, they were going to compensate you for the reasonable cost of having your car fixed. And the reasonable cost of you having your car fixed was $2,800.
That's because he told me that's how much it was going to cost.
So why didn't you tell that to the insurance company?
I did. He actually wrote up something higher than what he was going to charge me.
And did you tell the insurance company that he did
No.
that? Let me tell you all about the doctrine of clean hands. The doctrine of clean hands is something that we learned very early on in law school. It says that when a citizen comes into court and asks the court to hear their case, they can't come in with dirty hands, which means they can't come in being wrong, scamming somebody and saying, well, he's a worse scammer than I am. Why won't you help me? What he did was worse. I had a deal with him. We had a deal that he was going to jack up the cost of fixing the car. He was going to have the adjuster come to his place and say it needs this and this and this and this and this. And he was going to get $2,800 to fix it, and I was going to end up pocketing the rest, which was $1,000 or whatever. And the only one that was going to be out is the insurance company, and they got plenty of money anyway.
Well,
so, madam, you get from me nothing. Zippo, nada, except a lesson in morality. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I paid a lot of money for the rental. You know, she wants me to pay more.
I'm actually out money, whether she thinks so or not.
But I had already paid her what I told her I was going to pay her.
I didn't feel like I did anything wrong.
21-year-old Gary Estes III is suing 19-year-old Ryland Oliver for an assault. Gary says Ryland crashed a party at his home.
Quiet in the courtroom. That's case number 223 on the calendar, the matter of Estes versus Oliver. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Estes, it is your claim that Mr. Oliver was an uninvited guest in your home and that he assaulted you in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Oliver, although he acknowledges that there were blows exchanged, says that he struck you in self-defense. You actually hit him first. And it is his claim that he was invited, not by you, but by someone else to the house. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
19.
You go to college?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
Oklahoma City Community College.
Could you try to speak a little slower? I'm old.
Oklahoma City Community College.
You live at home?
Yes.
And you, sir?
I go to a community college in Cleburne, Hill College. I did go to University of Oklahoma until this happened.
Is that why you changed schools?
Yes.
Did you have an apartment?
I was renting a house from witness Mark's parents had a rent house, and we were renting it from them.
How many people lived there?
3.
Were you living there as well, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. What's your name?
Mark Williams.
Are you scared?
No. Kind of nervous. A little nervous. I'm sorry.
Step over here. I have a couple of questions. Mr. Williams, this is your parents' house?
Yes.
Who was the third roommate?
Christopher.
Do you know Mr. Oliver? Did you know him before this incident happened?
Yeah, I knew him from high school, just randomly, just because we went to the same high school, I knew of him.
But he wasn't your friend?
No.
So you didn't invite him to your house?
No.
What date did this incident happen?
May 22nd.
Did you invite him to the house, Mr. Estes?
No, ma'am.
Did you know him from before?
No, ma'am.
Now, this Christopher person, is that the person that you knew?
No, ma'am.
You didn't know Christopher either?
No.
So you didn't know any of the 3 people that lived in this house?
No, ma'am.
What brought you to the house?
My friend DJ was leaving for the Navy, and they were throwing him a going-away party, and he called us and asked us to come by.
You know DJ?
Yes.
Was he having a party at your house?
No, ma'am.
How many people were in the house on the evening of the 22nd of May?
About 7. We each had a friend over.
Was DJ there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was the 3 people who lived in the house, plus 4 guests?
Yes.
All guys?
It was Sarah, one of her friends.
It was a girl.
It was a
Sarah
girl.
is definitely a girl.
Well, her friend is a girl.
What?
Her friend is a girl.
And DJ and us 3 that lived in the house.
Okay, so it was just a small gathering?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can sit down. Okay, so DJ said come on over to say goodbye?
Yes. He said they're having a going-away party for me, and he asked
Well,
us
it
to come
doesn't
over.
sound like much of a party. There were only 7 people there.
There was more than 7 people there. There were people in the front yard.
There were only 7 people in the house, according to them. Where had you been that evening, Mr. Oliver?
I was over at a friend's house around campus.
Anybody drinking?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
Me.
How did I know that? How do you think?
I don't know, man.
You'll never know. So you were drinking and driving and went over to see your friend DJ, and what happened, sir?
When we were leaving the
Who's
party,
we?
my friend Ricky, and I had one more friend with me. I guess people overheard us and thought we were going to another party. So we had about 5 carloads of people following us, saying we were going to another party.
You had 5 carloads of people following you where?
They thought we were going to another party, ma'am. We tried to tell them that we weren't, and they followed us anyway.
What time?
About 2:30 in the morning, ma'am.
You got the picture here, sir, that I'm not happy with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay, well, when we got there, we were walking up to the door. Mark lets me and my friend Ricky and David in.
You had let 3 of them in, is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened, sir. Thought he just said that you let them in.
I opened the door. I was the first one to open the door, and I see there's 30 people outside that I don't know. And I see him and Ricky. They first come in. I never said they could come in. They just kind of pushed me aside and came in.
Okay.
And then they ran into him.
Now, where were the other 30 people that were outside?
Just out in my front yard. And I was like, I don't want these people here because my neighbors are going to call the cops, you know. They're making noise.
Right. 5 carloads of them.
Yeah.
So he ran into you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say?
I told him it was late. I didn't know who they were. There were 20 or 30 people out in our yard. We didn't want them here. They needed to leave. He tried to push me aside, and I tried to push him out of my house, and he dragged me outside, and
Just a second. Well, Mr. Oliver, when Mr. Estes told you to leave, why didn't you leave?
Man, Mr. Estes never told us to leave. When we got there, Mark let us in. He stops us in the hall, and he put his hands on my chest and asked, who are all these people?
Who were all these people?
Yeah, because they were still walking up.
You mean the other 30 of them?
I don't know if it was 30, ma'am.
5 carloads. And he said to you, who are all these people? And what did you say?
I said, ma'am, I don't know. They followed us here.
And what happened after you
Well,
said that?
when he put his hands on me, I pushed his hand down like that, and I asked him not to touch me because I didn't know him. And he looks at me crazy and tells me that, you know, he pays the MF and rent here, and grabbed me by my shirt like that and tried to push me into the door. And when he did that, I kind of put my weight forward, and when I did, he swung at me, and he hit me in the jaw. And I retaliated by hitting him twice. He falls forward on me, I'm on my back, and I try to get up. I push myself, and he's still got a hold of my shirt. So people are running over there kicking and hitting. I'm getting kicked, he's getting kicked. I can't get up, and then I finally get pulled to my feet from one of my friends. And then when I got to my feet, I saw Mark had a cast on his hand. I don't remember which hand it was. But he's pushing people back, and he swung it at my friend Ricky here. And Ricky blocked, and it hit him in his forearms with the cast. And then Ricky pushed him back, and pretty much got out of there after that. Because I didn't know those people. It was, I mean, it's a rich neighborhood. It's 2:30 in the morning, so we left. I didn't want to be involved with that situation.
Well, Mr. Oliver, if you didn't want to be involved with that situation, sir, why didn't you just go home?
Because my friend
Instead of making trouble by stopping with 5 carloads of people that you don't know that have been out drinking all night because it's 2:30 in the morning and they're going to another party. Instead of being involved in creating a situation where none existed, Mr. Oliver, you created an incident. You had had enough to drink, you were behind the wheel, you were taking a caravan over to someone's house that you didn't know in the rich part of town. You brought with you 5 carloads of drunken teenagers looking for another party. That's what you did. You created an incident because you're young and stupid.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were arrested for using an illegal drug.
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Either you were using or selling. I mean, you weren't decorating your house with it, right?
And later today.
Until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gary Estes III says he was assaulted in his home by Ryland Oliver. Ryland says Gary swung at him first.
Mr. Oliver, they don't live in a rural area on 30 acres, do they? They live with houses right next door?
Yes.
With maybe people who are not 19 years old?
Yes.
Maybe sleeping at 2:30 in the morning?
Probably.
Maybe not interested in hearing you and your moronic friends? Probably.
Ma'am, when we got there, it was not 7 people there. They had people outside
Listen
drinking
to me,
in front of the
sir.
yard.
You brought over 5 carloads of people to a neighborhood where they didn't belong. And if you wanted to say goodbye to your friend And if, unfortunately, 5 carloads of people, strangers, started to follow you, you go to the local police precinct and you say, these 5 carloads of people are following me. I don't want them to follow me. But you don't take them to an unsuspecting neighborhood unless you're an idiot. Can I see photographs, please? You have photographs for me?
No.
Was he arrested?
No.
Why not?
Because the police said that they felt that if we pressed charges, he'd retaliate. And
Can I see your police report, please?
And that's the picture of me is proof that I didn't just get pushed when I was trying to break it up.
No, you got so you were assaulted. Mr. Oliver.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times you were arrested before?
Once.
When?
February 7th, I believe.
Of this year?
Yes.
For what?
Possession of marijuana and speeding.
So at that point, you were arrested for using an illegal drug and driving, right?
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Well, either you were using or selling. I mean, you weren't decorating your house with it, right? Either you were using or selling.
I was using, ma'am, but I was...
Well, that's the answer. Can I see your unreimbursed medical bills, please? Anything you want to say to me?
No, ma'am.
Good idea. You're a fast learn. You have any idea how many people were hitting you?
4 or 5, at least, were kicking me.
And the 4 or 5 that were hitting you and or kicking you, because you have serious lacerations in your head, were those the people that came in this caravan of 5 cars? They weren't your guests.
No, they weren't. And I still have shoulder rehab I have to go through. I may have to have surgery on it.
There are consequences to your actions. One of the consequences to your actions is having to listen to me. I'm telling you that your actions caused him serious physical injury and a lot of pain and suffering, because I've seen the photographs. Have you seen them?
No.
Would you like to see them?
Not really.
It's mature. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
I was getting kicked in the face, and I just tried to cover my head up, and Ryland stomped on my head and split it open.
When I was leaving, he was on the ground, and there was people swarming him.
All I was trying to do was get people off of him, and then they started hitting me.
He was practically unconscious, and he was bleeding like a waterfall of blood from his nose. It was terrible.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus MacArthur. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Jennifer Smith is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old James MacArthur, for destroying her property, throwing her engagement ring in a lake, and slander.
Miss Smith, you and Mr. MacArthur were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. And it is your claim that after you broke up, Mr. MacArthur took some of your property, vandalized some of your property, and then posted some very negative things about you on the internet, which you view as slanderous, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. MacArthur says the only thing that he took back was the engagement ring.
Yes.
And as far as destroying your property, he did not do that. And as far as placing items on the internet, he says he never mentioned you by name on any website. How long were you engaged, Mr. MacArthur?
We were engaged for about 2 years.
Did she break up with you, or did you break up with her?
She wanted to take time apart, and I told her I did not want that.
Okay, so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a good idea, that you didn't get married.
Yeah.
If somebody's not sure, it's better off to figure it out now than later, right?
Yes, Ron.
All right, Ms. Smith, what items do you claim that Mr. MacArthur stole from you?
He has several of my CDs. He took my engagement ring. I was later informed that that was thrown into a lake.
Well, the engagement ring he's entitled to take back.
It was a birthday present. It was given to me as a birthday present. It was given to me on my birthday as an engagement
your engagement ring was given to you on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he's entitled to it back.
It was given as a birthday gift, though.
Watch me. He asked you to marry him and gave you a ring on your birthday. It was an engagement ring. Did you show it to people as an engagement ring?
Yes.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
It was...
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
Yes.
You didn't say, this is my birthday present. You got my drift, Miss Smith.
Yes.
If you broke off the engagement, it means the marriage never took place. He's entitled to the ring back. And if he wants to throw it in the lake, he can throw it in the lake. And if he wants to throw it down a sewer, he can do that too. Okay? See how fair I am? Okay. Do you have any of her CDs, Mr. MacArthur?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
I'm not getting myself totally exercised over the CDs. People who were engaged for 2 years, if all they're fighting about is CDs, that means they're not very mature.
I also have CDs that he returned to me that were destroyed when I picked them up.
I'd like to see those.
This is only the ones that were returned to me. That's not the ones that he still has possession of. Some of those are expensive CDs. Some of the CDs that he still has are very expensive.
I don't know what you mean they're destroyed. I have no idea what that means.
If you look at all of them, each of them has a gouge going from the center to the outside. They're completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way of
Well, this one. Yeah, this one is too. How did that happen, Mr. MacArthur?
I don't know, Your Honor. Her CDs sat in my trunk. I use my car for work, so I have tools coming in and out of my car every day. I don't
Your
pay
Honor,
attention.
my CDs were in a CD case.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur. That looks like somebody purposely did that.
And it's identical.
Shh. You know how fair I am. This looks like somebody purposely did that. Well, doesn't that look to you as if somebody did that with something?
Yeah, by all means.
You know what I mean, Mr. MacArthur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I don't think she would do that to her own CDs, because that would be stupid, especially since she broke up with you. But it would seem to me that you were pretty angry. So I have to put 1 and 1 together. That makes you. All right. So now you have these destroyed CDs, which I am placing squarely at the foot of him.
That doesn't include the ones that he still has.
I just answered your question about that 2 minutes ago. What part of I don't care don't you understand? There's no excuse for him vandalizing your property.
What's the excuse for him posting vulgar, slanderous stuff on the internet?
Well, that I want to see. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason that he might have done it, but that doesn't mean that there's an excuse.
He says that he never did it, although he called my house and he called my mother at her work.
Don't tell me what he told your mother unless your mother is here. Is this what you're telling me?
Yes, it is.
Came off the internet?
Yes, it is. I was told to read that.
He doesn't mention your name here.
No, but it says to my ex, you know who you are, and I was told that
Don't tell me what you were told.
To read it.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what you were told. That's hearsay.
And
listen to me. He says, as far as his ex is concerned, one day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are. Right?
I called him right after I read them, and I said, what is this about? He said, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, you wrote that, yet you didn't mean to. How could that not hurt me?
Ms. Smith, you have to understand what slander is. Slander is something that you say that is not true about somebody in a way that they can be identified. For instance, if he said, my ex, Jennifer Smith, has the following diseases, so everybody better stay away from her, and that's not true, then you can sue him for slander. I'm speaking, you're not listening. That's slander. If he wrote you a letter, and in the letter said to you, I wish you had a slow, painful death, and I was there to watch. I wish you suffer and get a vile disease. And he wrote that to you in a letter. That's not slander. That's the way he feels. That's protected speech. If you wrote this, I assume you did. He's entitled to do that.
It is slanderous, though, because at the top of it, it says, I just left someone who did nothing but use me for my money, and when she was done, she went and found someone new to do the same to them. My current boyfriend was hesitant about even talking to me because of that, because he assumed that because he stated it, that...
Listen to me. Who showed your boyfriend this?
I did.
Listen, I would like to... Listen to me. I want you to kiss the ground. You got the ring back, and that you're moving on with your life because she's not wrapped too tight. You got it? Good. But you can't scratch her CDs because that's childish. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you got to give her $150 for. The rest of your stuff is nonsense. What'd you do with the ring, by the way?
Threw it in a lake.
Attaboy.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
She'll move on with her life, and I can move on with mine.
Stay with the boyfriend I'm with instead of being with somebody that's going to be controlling.
With the ring going into the lake was I cared for her so much, no one was going to weigh that ring. That ring is going to lay at the bottom of the lake where it can stay.
25-year-old soldier Jonathan Pasquinelli is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 24-year-old Laura Weathers, for rent and utilities. Jonathan says while he was in Iraq, Laura didn't pay their bills.
All rise. Now, this is case number 278 on the calendar in the matter of Pasquinelli versus Weathers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Bird,
Yep.
would you get the defendant a sweater, please, or have her go outside and get herself a sweater?
Okay.
She looks cold to me. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. Oh, that's much better. Much, much better. Mr. Pasquinelli, according to your complaint, you and Miss Weathers lived together for a period of time. You rented an apartment together, you were splitting the bills. And then you were deployed to the Gulf.
Yes.
And it was your arrangement with the defendant that she was going to stay in the apartment, that you would continue to pay half the rent, and she would pay half the rent, and she would pay all the utilities since she was living in the apartment.
Yes.
You returned from the Gulf and found that she had not paid the rent, that the utilities were never paid, and according to you, she owes you a bundle of money.
Yes.
The defendant says that she only lived in the apartment for 5 months after you left, and you agreed to cover her rent because she was a little short, and in addition, she never received the utility bills. They went directly to your parents' house. That's your defense?
That's correct.
All right. When did you move into the apartment together, Miss Withers?
November.
What was your financial agreement?
That we would split the rent and the utilities while he was
How much was
away.
your share of the rent?
$675.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it was actually $575.
And how long did you pay the $575?
Up through January, February.
Through January. When were you deployed to the Gulf, sir?
January 17.
Now, what about the utilities? Did you pay half of the utilities up until he went away?
I did.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, she did.
Now, how did your agreement change, Miss Weathers, when he left for the Gulf and he was no longer living there?
I actually ended up getting a DUI because my truck broke. I had a tire. It was a brand new truck, and he had said that while I was paying my $3,000 lawyer and all my fines and my truck, that I wouldn't have to pay and that we would do it. I would get it back to you eventually.
And what?
That it was until I was able to. I could just pay what I could.
Was there a full sentence there someplace that I didn't hear?
I don't know how to break it down exactly.
Try speaking in a full sentence, you know, with a beginning and a middle and an end and a start and a finish.
I would just pay what I could when I could.
There you go. That wasn't hard, was it?
It was fine.
So how much did you pay?
$300.
When did you deposit $300?
February.
Show me.
I know he has his bank statement he can prove. I even called his mother to get his bank information.
Well, if you called his mother to get his bank information, that means that what you were doing is you were paying the entire rent out of his bank account. Is that right?
Oh, before he left, he gave them checks in full.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was she supposed to pay her half?
I left her deposit slips from my bank account to deposit it directly into my checking account.
So it was all taken out of your bank, and
Yes.
she never deposited any money. She says in February she deposited $300. I'm just curious. Do you have any indication of that?
I don't, but I will say that's true. She did deposit that money.
So your agreement now, according to you, now that we got a full sentence, Ms. Withers, was that when you could, you would pay him back.
That's correct.
After the $300, when did you start paying him back?
I didn't.
Why?
Because we were talking, and it was just pretty much that whenever I could pay it, I would, and at the time, I couldn't. So eventually, you know, we would just come out in the end. I have an email.
There's a sentence there.
It's coming.
There's a sentence there. I know it's coming.
It's coming. I have an email. There's the sentence from him.
I have an email. That's perfect. 4 words. Sounds just about right.
So Just basically him saying that he knows that I can't pay it and eventually we will get through it.
Well, that's pretty much what you said. I don't know what was awesome. Something was awesome before we got to the rent.
Oh, we did thousands of emails, so the headlines were a little wacky.
Oh, I see. And he does indicate here, I know you are trying and doing what you can, and I know you'll get me when you can. So, what are you doing now, Miss Withers?
Now I don't understand.
What are you doing now?
In regard to paying him back,
In regard to your life, what are you doing?
I'm an accountant.
An accountant, that's a good thing, so you deal in numbers.
Correct.
And who do you work for?
I was working for Quintera. Right now I'm in between.
How are you supporting yourself again?
Well, unemployment.
Who is this?
This is Anthony.
Anthony. I assume Anthony has a last name?
Palazzo.
And what does Anthony do?
He's also an accountant. He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
Correct.
So now you're paying the bills?
Yes.
Not like that at all. This is...
Just a second. Good for you.
That's not the case. Don't make it look like that, because that's not the case.
Looks like the case to me. Looks like he went overseas. I'm sure it wasn't easy over there, and he's expecting you to do the right thing. Instead of doing the right thing, you got yourself drunk. You had an accident with your car. Correct. It's not his fault that you had to pay $3,000 in lawyers and fines and everything else that you had to pay because of your own irresponsible behavior while he was away. And so my question is, when do you expect to start paying him back? He expected you to pay him back.
Actually, before he did this, I had set it up where I would be paying him $300 a month. And he was okay with it. And the next thing I know, I'm getting this in the mail. Right after we had had a phone conversation, I had given him $100 just for that week because he had come back.
What did she say when she gave you the $100?
She didn't deliver it to me, her boyfriend did.
And what did he say?
He didn't really say much.
Stand up. Anthony.
Yes.
What did you say when you delivered the $100?
I was just the carrier. I was just dropping it off, gave him the $100.
Good. So you had a conversation with Miss Withers. Is that right?
Correct.
And what did Miss Withers tell you about the $100?
She said that she owed him $100, drop it off after work. And on my way home from work, I just dropped it off, didn't have any conversation.
Anthony.
Yes.
If my girlfriend with whom I was living, or my boyfriend with whom I was living, said to me, here, take $100 to my ex-boyfriend, I owe it to him, I would ask, what for? Unless you're a drone and just do things as you're told.
No, I knew she owed him money.
Okay. Now,
but
what did you... Stop speaking.
Okay.
You knew she owed him money.
Yes.
Is that because she told you she owed him money?
Yes.
And how much money did she say she owed him?
She did not tell me exact amount.
What did she tell him she owed the money for?
She didn't tell me either. I just
And
knew.
you didn't ask?
I didn't ask.
You are some inquisitive guy.
Thanks. Thanks.
You're only interested in the important things, right?
That's correct.
Oh, that's right. I'm not going there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person. So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you? I'm capable of it, you know.
And later today,
2:30 in the morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't be
later.
smart.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jonathan Pasquinelli says former live-in girlfriend Laura Weathers owes for rent and bills while he was deployed in Iraq.
Anthony, what do you do for a living, sir? You're an accountant?
I'm actually a financial advisor.
So you're not a dummy, right?
No, I'm not.
If my girlfriend said to me, I owe my ex-boyfriend money, you would say, what do you owe money for, honey? How much do you owe him? Did you have a payment schedule? What are you going to do? Those are the questions that a normal person would ask. Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person. Yeah. So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you?
No.
Any more than I have done already? I'm capable of it, you know.
Okay.
Now, when did you have a discussion with her about how much and what she owed him the money for?
We really never discussed how much she owed I just knew that she owed him money, and that was it. I didn't really want to know how much. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't want to get in the middle between money because I know how people act around money, so.
You didn't want to be responsible.
Correct.
Now, Anthony.
Yes.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Because if you say, how much do you owe, and she tells you, the temptation might be there to say, let me give it to you because I don't want you to have any connection with him anymore.
Correct.
So you didn't do that.
I didn't want to know. And
Why didn't you want to know, Anthony?
Because I didn't want to know how much it was. It could have been a lot, it could have been a little. I didn't want to know.
Well, you said I didn't want to know 3 times, and so I'm asking you, why didn't you want to know? Weren't you curious?
No.
Weren't you a little curious,
I was
Anthony?
Not at all.
When were you deployed, sir? In January?
January 17.
When did you get home?
July 31st.
So she was there ostensibly for 5 months, is that right?
I don't know when she left.
I don't care when she left. She was there for 5 months.
Fine.
That she owes you money for. And she owes you $2,875. Now, tell me about the utility bills.
When I got home, I had a $617 gas and electric bill.
Can I see it, please? What were you doing there?
I wasn't even there.
You're making wine? What were you doing?
I have no idea. I
Actually,
wasn't.
this is gas and electric also. And these are unopened. Just, I didn't know if...
Can I see the unopened ones,
Yes.
please?
This is actually cable, which I'm not allowed to have cable in San Diego anymore because the bill's
Okay.
never paid.
You live at 9215?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and these were sent to 9215? Well, she paid you $300, so I'm deducting that from the $28.75, leaving $25.75. And here is a bill. Ooh, past due, date mailed, May 3rd. You would still be there, right?
No, I moved out in the beginning, of May. I wasn't there.
Well, this is mailed on May 3rd, so you owe $574.27 for this. Cable.
I tried disconnecting that because, number 1, I'm not home. Number 2, we have no computer, which we needed internet for. And because my name wasn't on it, I couldn't disconnect it.
Why didn't you email him?
Name's on the bill.
Shh. Why didn't you email him and tell him?
No, that's the time.
Listen to me. Why didn't you email him and tell him to cancel it?
I did. I had emailed
Show me.
him.
Show me.
I don't have that email.
Anthony,
Yes.
where were you working in May?
In May, I was working at Quintera.
And where was she working?
Quintera.
Also.
That's how I met him.
So that's how you met, in May. When did she move in with you, Anthony?
I would say
In July.
Jump! Didn't ask you. I asked him.
beginning of June.
So from May, whatever, when you moved out until you moved in with Anthony here, where were you living?
I was just staying at friends as I was going back and forth because it was closer to my house.
What house?
Or not my house, but to my work. It was just easier because I lived pretty far from work.
Ever been married, Anthony?
No.
Don't do this one.
You getting the drift?
I do.
You do get, I know that you get it, Anthony. I'm looking at your eyes.
She went wine tasting and forgot to pay the bill in February.
I didn't go wine
Listen.
tasting.
You told
Sir, shh, listen to me. Very
there was a $69 late payment on that bill.
$3,688.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. And say, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Very nice young lady, very nice. Thank you. Say, thank you. I got home safely, right?
Yes.
I didn't make any big mistakes over there, and I didn't make any big mistakes over here. Got it?
Got it.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt it was falling apart the second week we moved in together.
It's over, it's done with, and we don't need to start talking schmack. I just hate that he has such a big heart and he was taken advantage of.
They said there's food left out. They said it was just disgusting looking. They said it was unfit for living.
He's emailing me now, trying to break us up.
It's over, it's done with. I just want him out of my life. I want to just be done with it, through.
She's nuts.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lane versus Eberspacher. Step forward.
27-year-old Lisa Lane is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old Scott Eberspacher, for the cost to fix her bedroom window. Lisa claims Scott was trying to wake her up by throwing rocks.
All right, Lisa, how long were you dating Scott here when he made this nocturnal visit to your house?
About a month and a half.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my son.
And Scott was supposed to be over, according to your complaint, at about 10 o'clock that evening. Or he's
Right.
supposed to be over that evening, and he shows up at what time, Scott?
I got there around approximately 2:20 in the morning.
Why?
There was no set time, Your Honor.
How old is her child?
He would be 4.
There was no set time?
He was supposed to be there
2:30 in the morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't
late
be
night.
smart.
He's supposed to be
Just
there
a
before
second.
9.
Don't be... Listen, when I speak to you, you'll answer me.
Right.
According to your complaint, he was supposed to be there at 10. He wasn't there at 10. You locked the doors. He came 2 o'clock in the morning, rang the bell, whatever. You didn't answer. So he went to your window and he threw a rock at your window to get your attention. He got your attention. He broke the window. He came in. You spent the night together. Later on, you said, I want him to pay for the window.
I didn't know the window was broken.
All
until the
right.
next
Later
morning.
on, they found the window broken and you want him to pay for the window. That's what the case is.
I have a videotape showing a scenario of how he did it.
I don't care how he did it. You're not dating him anymore?
No.
What does that mean? That was a hesitation.
No, I do not date him anymore. He's too irresponsible.
So you haven't... When was the last time you saw him, Miss Lane? Is not an answer, madam.
I don't remember. It was like a month or so ago.
And when did this incident happen?
It was after the window was broke, because we joked about it, because he didn't really mean to break the window.
When did he break the window?
In April.
Okay. She says you broke the window, sir.
I didn't break the window, Your Honor.
I have the text message where he says he'll pay for it.
Oh. Is that dated?
Yes.
Okay. Show it to Bird, because he is
'Cause
my
I sent-
electronic... I'm speaking. He is my electronic genius.
And so, if you just want to give that to the judge, then.
No, he doesn't give it to me. He's my electronic eyes and ears.
Scott Gold, you want me to find, but I say that this is why you pay association and insurance. I will probably never talk to you again if you want to go that route, so it's up to you.
What's the date of that?
May
Just go to the date.
May 29th.
Very good. And did you fix the window?
Yes, I did. And I have pictures of when it was broken.
I'd like to see the picture.
And I have the actual rocks, too. Here's the receipt, and here's the pictures when it was broken. Do you want the rocks?
You want the rocks?
No. Stick the rocks back where they were. These are the best pictures you could take.
I took a video flicks on my camera phone, and that's the best that we could come up with for a still shot. But I have the videotape right here that
I'm not interested in it.
Okay.
April 27th at 2:20 a.m. is when I went over to Lisa's house. And at that time, when I did, in fact, I tossed a ball, and then I tossed a very tiny pebble the size of a dime. Did not break the window. Matter of fact, the next morning when she had walked out, we'd walked out together, there was no broken glass or anything to my appearance or her appearance.
That's not English, to my appearance or to her appearance.
Okay. To my knowledge and to her knowledge, there was nothing broken.
Don't tell me about her knowledge. So your knowledge, there
To
was
my
no,
knowledge, there was
no
nothing
broken
broken.
window. Well,
Correct.
then your knowledge is limited. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $360. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Wow.
She knows her stuff, and she could see right through the fact that he was lying.
She then therefore notified me that there was a broken window and there'd be a $400 toll fee being assessed to me.
Normally, guys throw pebbles in the movies. He throws these 2 rocks.
She didn't answer her phone. She drinks a lot, passes out. Can't help but wake up somebody that's passed out.
Office was leisurely and leisurely. Chen Pu was still diligently reading the household records of the Chaoyang residents that year. Even though he had read them many times and knew them like the back of his hand, every year he still found loopholes and mistakes and added them. While he was reading enthusiastically, Chen Pu heard a gentle and clear voice ringing out near his desk. "It's okay, you can drink it." Chen Pu raised his head and saw Yen Yong, the youngest in the team. Of course, Li Qinyao had arrived now. The two of them were the youngest in the team. He was holding a cup of green tea and standing next to Li Qinyao, smiling shyly and nervously. "No, you have to pay for the tea too. How about I pay for half a box?" Li Qinyao also held a cup of tea. Her white fingers cupped the frosted glass cup with rounded edges. The tea leaves floated in the teacup, and at first glance one could feel the elegant fragrance. She pursed her lips and smiled. "No, we are colleagues. It's only 12 yuan, not much. Next time you buy tea, I will try it too. Yan Yong gave her a thumbs up, cherishing. Li Qingyao smiled, his eyes accidentally looking at Chen Pu. Chen Pu lowered his eyes. Good, he thought that it was only the second day, but the young and old in the team had already started wagging their tails at Li Qingyao. Someone's cleverness was like a spring breeze, naturally cool, quietly permeating. By the afternoon, Chen Pu's feelings for Li Qingyao had reached their peak. During the lunch break, Li Qingyao brought a bag of milk tea and shared it with her colleagues. She was still as humble and gentle as ever. Yesterday was my first day here, so I was still shy and didn't know how to express it. Although the team leader was treating me this weekend, I still wanted to thank everyone for caring about a junior like me. Although the cup of milk tea was small, it was also my heart. Everyone was happy, saying that she was really too polite, competing to share the milk tea. The atmosphere in the office became even more harmonious. Only Chen Pu didn't come. A moment later, a cup of milk tea was placed on his table. Chen Pu raised his head and looked into Li Qingyao's jet-black eyes. Chen Pu, thank you, I don't drink sweets. Take it away. From Li Qingyao's angle, one could see his full forehead, the bridge of his nose, his lips, and then his chin, his sharp features. Only his slightly drooping eyes always gave off a feeling of distance, not wanting others to get close. Li Qingyao said softly, I ordered unsweetened osmanthus oolong. This is your favorite flavor, right? Chen Pu looked and didn't react, but his eyes lifted slightly, stopping at the words on the cup half a foot away from him, familiar milk tea shop, familiar flavor. Chen Pu was suddenly stunned. 7 years had passed, everything seemed to have changed. There were many people in the bureau who didn't know the name Li Jincheng. But it seemed like nothing had changed. The milk tea shop that he and Li Qingjin often went to was still there, that flavor was still there. Chen Pu realized again, the girl who ordered this cup of milk tea for him, how delicate and discreet was her heart. What did she want to probe, or what did she want to express? But when he raised his head, he saw those bright eyes that contained silence. This girl was definitely both smart and sharp. Obediently studying the top major at the top university, she was determined to drop out of school to pass the police academy. After a year of working at the provincial office, the highest authority in handling public cases in the province, she was transferred to the criminal investigation team, where her brother worked before he went missing. What she wanted to do, what she wanted to get, the answer was already obvious. But Tran Fo only felt annoyed. He held the cup of milk tea, lowered his eyes, and said, Thank you, don't buy it again next time. I don't like drinking these anymore. However, God didn't want criminal police like them to be idle. It was almost time to get off work today. Din Kwok Kwong hurriedly walked into their office. Everyone gather here. There was a murder in the dormitory of high school number 29. Tran Fo, you lead the team to the scene, and bring a new member along. High school number 29 is located in an old urban area. Right across the street from the school is a dormitory that was built a few decades ago. The buildings were old, but the location was good, and it was a school district, so there were many teachers there. The apartment complex had no surrounding walls,